get up and get a piece of paper.
Call the meeting back to order.
I came with all my paper.
Reconvene to open session. Anything to report? Excuse me.
That's all right.
We convened in closed session for a conference of the city's labor negotiators and also held a performance evaluation for the city clerk. There is no reportable action.
Thank you. Roll call.
Vice Mayor Cruz.
Here.
Councilmember Mawson.
Here.
Councilmember Campion.
Here.
Councilmember Lamson.
Here.
Mayor Hewer.
Here. Please join me in a moment of silence in honor of Roy Herberger, who we lost on Sunday. Roy played such a huge part in our community in the ownership of the Galt Herald. He always said education held the key to life success, and I absolutely agree. He was a big advocate for education. And Vice Mayor Cruz will lead us in the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance
Video statement.
This meeting of the Galt City Council will be cablecast on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel, on the Comcast Consolidated Communications and AT&T Uverse cable systems. The meeting is closed captioned and webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. Today's meeting will air Friday, March 9th at 9 a.m. and Saturday, March 10th at 9 a.m. The City Council meeting videos are also archived on the city's website, and a DVD copy is available for checkout from any library branch.
Agenda approval, additions and/or deletions. I'd like to pull item J6 for discussion, mostly for the chief to give us explain it to us. Okay. So we have our employee. We will move that item to next meeting. She could not join us tonight. And now we will have a presentation regarding the California Voters' Choice Act. Jill Levine, Sacramento County Registrar of Voters. Welcome, Jill.
Okay, what'd you do with my clicker?
Job for him.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you gotta watch him.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I am Jill Levine, your Registrar of Voters for Sacramento County, and I had no idea you'd have a packed house for me tonight, but I appreciate that. Thank you. As your Registrar of Voters for the county, I've got some good news for you, and that's the Voters' Choice Act. A lot of different and new changes are coming our way. And first of all, I want to compliment Galt, because Galt has about a 75% turnout when it comes to vote by mail. So you're one of the highest cities in our county, so I thank you very much for that. So, okay, where do I point this, Donna? At the wall? Mm-hmm. You said you turned this on? You turned it off.
Boy, Mr. Winkler.
Thank you. Okay, what is the Voters' Choice Act? This is a bill, Senate Bill 450. It was signed by the governor and then, anyway, put into law, and it allows certain counties to conduct all mail ballot elections and use full-service vote centers. And so in June of 2017, the Sacramento County Board of Supervisors did say, okay, they approved this method of voting for the county. So beginning with the June 2018 election, we have become an all-mail ballot county with vote centers. So if you have been a permanent vote-by-mail voter, you won't see any changes. Only if you are one of our diehards that always thinks they need to go to a polling place will you see any changes. Currently, there are 14 counties that were allowed to go forward in this bill, but only 5 chose to do so. That is Sacramento being the largest, Napa County, San Mateo, Nevada, and Madera County. The rest of the counties are allowed to go in 2020. So you can kind of see where we're headed this way. In about 2000, we were about 25% vote by mail, and by right around 2008, everything kind of got mushy, and now we have popped out, and we're at 64% of our county votes permanently by mail. So knowing that, what does that mean to us? It means that with this Voters Choice Act, and this is one of the reasons we chose to go this way, is that every registered voter in Sacramento County will be receiving a ballot in the mail. Those will go out the first week of May. And to return it, vote your ballot, put a stamp on it, and return it in the mail. You can drop it in one of our drop boxes. You can drop it at one of our vote centers, which we'll talk about in just a minute, or you can drop it at our office. And many people don't realize that we actually start processing those ballots 10 days before the election. Because when you see the results on election night pop up, that's because we've been working on them for a good 10 days prior. Now, we cannot release any results, nor do I get to even see any results until 8 o'clock. The whole thing is planned that way. So what does this mean to you? We want to make sure that vote by mail ballot counts. That's even more important than ever. So mark your ballot clearly. Make sure you sign that ballot envelope and return it on or before Election Day. And if you didn't know, on our website, you can actually check the status of when we've mailed it to you, and if we received it, and when we have counted it. So that is on our website for anyone to check. So in addition to getting your ballot by mail, you are now going to see vote centers. So you've had your polling places where you've been assigned to one place and they're open one day. That all changes. Vote centers are open, some of them are open up to 10 days before the election. All vote centers are open the weekend before election and will be open on Election Day. And you can vote at any vote center. So if you're up in Sacramento somewhere and you're saying, oh man, I can just stop by here and I want to vote, do it. You don't have to go to this one place that you were assigned to previously. It does not matter anymore. Each of these vote centers will have the ability to get your ballot to you, regardless of where you are in Sacramento County. At the vote center, we have expanded services. They're almost like little mini offices throughout the county. Let's say it's past the close of registration. Registration closes on the 15 days before the election. It's 14 days. You forgot to change your address. Can I vote? Or you just moved into town. You can go to a vote center, register, and vote the same day, even Election Day now. You can update your address. You can change your party. You can go to a vote center and actually drop off your ballot. Let's say the dog ate your ballot. We've heard that story many times. Most of the time it's the jelly on the ballot that we get the story about. You must be voting with coffee in one hand and a donut in the other. That's okay. Get a replacement ballot. You need some language assistance? Go to a vote center. You want to use the accessible ballot marking device? Go to a vote center. All of that will be available at a vote center. Now, drop boxes. Since everybody's getting a ballot in the mail, and you can mail them back, we're going to have additional drop boxes. In the November 2016 election, we had 16 drop boxes. We had 73,000 ballots returned in those 16 boxes. We now have 52 drop boxes, according to this law, and they're going to be throughout the county. They're going to open for 28 days, a whole month before the election, and you can drop your ballot at any of those. In fact, the new law says that if somebody from San Joaquin County happens to be kind of wandering into our county and they drop it into one of our drop boxes, their ballot will still count. That's a new law also. We do have one box at our office that is a convenient drive-through box. It is open 24 hours a day. You just drive into the parking lot, drop it off, and away you go. So why did we choose this? Because we find that the voters are not voting on Election Day, per se. They're not going to a polling place anymore. They're mailing their ballots. They want to vote for on the weekends. This is the request we always get. So this opens it up to more people, more opportunities that fit our current lifestyle. It's also cost-saving, because if 64% of our voters are already voting by mail, we're only having 34% go to a polling place. And setting up, we had 548 polling places in November of 2016. Setting up that many polling places, finding close to 3,000 people to work is always a problem. And each one of those polling places has to be accessible too, and willing to be open for those hours. So we said, why? Let's move this. What we also found was that our current system, voting system that we used in 2016 was at its end of its life cycle. So it was time to buy a new system. So do we move forward with a system for 500 to 600 polling places, or do we move forward with a system for approximately 80 vote centers? The difference in that cost was over $4 million. The board chose to go to the vote centers, which is lower cost. So kind of looking at some of these, the differences. Before a polling place, you had one location. You had to vote there if you're going to want to vote in person. Now we have 78 locations, and you can choose any one you want. We had one accessible voting machine at each one of our polling places. We will now have 3 at each one of our vote centers. You had 13 hours to return for voting in person at that one location. You have up to 93 hours at some of these locations if they're open up for 10 days. We needed 5 poll workers. We will need more poll workers, but the training is going to be much more extensive. And a poll worker, after we train them once, they can work all 11 days. They can work only mornings. They can work only afternoons, depending on their schedule. And we go from 16 ballot drop-off boxes to 52. More opportunities. Your requirements, it's all based on our registration, but vote centers will be open for 11 days. There will be actually, I know there's 18 of those now because we've looked at the areas of the county. There will be an additional 78 approximately that are going to be open for all the days. So at the last 4 days, more will open, and those 52 drop-off boxes are going to be open the entire month. Now, we didn't just say, oh, this looks good, let's choose one here. We actually had a whole list of criteria that we had to use in order to find this vote center, such as public transportation, language minority, voters with disability, isolated communities. I mean, just it was a list. We put all those together, and the higher, the pinkish purple area, that's where most of those criteria met. So that's where we put our focus and then moved out. But of course, don't forget we tried to put a vote center where we've already had a polling place, so it's familiar to our voters. So, knowing that, you're going to get a ballot the first week of May, and you can vote how you want, when you want, and where you want. Your choice. Any questions I can answer tonight?
Do you know where the vote center is going to be located in our area?
I don't. I didn't bring that information, and I should have. It is on our website. So when you get your ballot packet, you will get a list of all the vote centers, all the drop-off boxes. It'll be in your ballot packet. It will be in your sample ballot booklet information guide, and it is on our website. And we're updating those on our website every Friday as we locate them and get them locked down.
Okay, thank you. Questions?
It's the only one that came to mind.
Yeah,
Where are they?
where are they?
Where
Yeah.
are they? Okay, I will find that, and I will send that information back to Donna, so you know where those are in the Galt area.
Thank you, Jill.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Public comment? Pardon?
I was going to say. Under Government Code Section 54954.3, members of the public may address the council on non-agenda items. Speakers may address city council on any agenda item during consideration of the item. Speakers shall restrict their comments to issues that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council and limit comments to a maximum of 5 minutes. Please fill out a speaker sheet located on the table inside the entrances to the council chambers and forward the completed speaker sheet to the clerk.
Okay. Would, I think, looking at these, unless somebody tells me differently, looks like I only have one that's under general discussion. Everything, all the rest, I'll hold till that item's on the agenda. So Sean Farmer?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members. First off, as a great man once said in these chambers, I'm here as a concerned citizen. I'm here tonight to speak, along with a couple other folks, about the recent discussion that you guys had regarding the qualification for people to serve on the committees and commissions within this town. There was comments made about the interpretation of being vested in the community. there was comments made that someone who lives within the city limits is more vested than someone that does not. What I have to say is that Galt's a rural community. This town was founded on people that live in the country. These are farmers, these are dairymen, these are people like John McFarland who founded this town. You think in 1890 if someone would have came to John and said, we really appreciate all the work you're doing, John, but because you live at McFarland Ranch and you don't live in the actual city limits, that, you know, we don't want your participation in planning or making decisions. This is absolutely wrong. 70% of the revenue, as stated by the council, comes from property taxes, which means 30% are non-property owners. So that means that 30% of these people in this town don't pay property taxes, but they have the right to vote. Many long-term vested families are here. Families such as the Spons family who owns the cookie factory. Tell me that that family is not vested in this community. They've done a lot for this community. They don't live in the city limits. Not only can they not serve on a committee according to those of you up here, but they can't even vote. And it has been like that for a long time. People like my father-in-law, for example, who own commercial property since before I was even born, who have paid hundreds and thousands of dollars in tax money, and he can't have a vote or even serve on a committee, or he apparently has no vested interest in the community. Many of the hardest working folks in this community, such as some of the volunteers of the year, for example, Miss Weber, for example, Mr. Duell, Miss Ann Ulrich, all people that have been nominated and awarded as volunteers of the year, people that work hard for this community, that do lots of things. None of these people live within the city limits. Yes, they do have a 95632 area code. When they write down their address, it says Galt, California. And they all pay property taxes outside of the city limits, which goes into our school districts where their kids go to school. These are people that shop and spend their money here and call Galt home. For someone like yourselves to sit up there and say that these people are not vested in the community because they live on the other side of a sign is not only an insult, but it's ignorant. This decision is not only moving us backwards, I feel that the time has come where the voting rights should be changed. I feel that if you pay property taxes in the city limits or you have a 95632 area code or possibly both, that you should be allowed to vote for the people that represent you. To tell me that someone lives on Oak Avenue has more vested interest and has a bigger say in the planning of our community than someone like Shirley Roberts, who owns many properties in the town, who has put a lot of money of her money in this community to make it better, but she doesn't live in the city because she chose to make her lifestyle outside of the city limits. You know, to live in the country sometimes is something that people choose to do, but to do that should not make them forfeit their right to have a voice in this community. Things that affect this community, like building a $3,000 project in Old Town on the promenade sidewalks, to say that that doesn't affect somebody like my father-in-law who's owned property down there since 1974, those decisions and those things, whether they affect him good or bad, still affect him. And he has a vested interest. These people deserve a voice. And I ask you, please do not go down this path, because we need to progress the mindset of our rural community and allow these people not to be alienated and bring them in and make them feel that they are a part of the community, which they are, not moving backwards and going back to the Stone Ages on this. Thank you for your time.
Well, excuse me, Sean, a couple of things. You are incorrect. I mean, it is not the city of Galt that prohibits someone living in the county from sitting on the city council. That's state law. You have to live within the jurisdiction in order to run for city council. And in most cities, that is just standard.
I'm not referring to running for city council.
Well,
I'm referring to voting for voting rights, not running rights.
You can't vote for a city council member when you live in the county when you would vote for the board of supervisors. You can't, state law doesn't allow that.
I've actually done research on this, and I found that there's communities that have changed their voting, allowing certain rural communities have changed within their own, the city councils in these cities have overturned and decided that they allow people either within the school district or within the zip code or within property tax, if they pay property taxes, to allow them to vote on issues. We haven't had that forever. I mean, these people can't vote.
Well, we,
Excuse
We
me.
can't
excuse me.
engage in a
If
debate.
you'd like to make public comment, please fill out a speaker sheet or come to the podium.
It's also not, if there's interest in agendizing this for a future discussion, we're only allowed to have a brief response to comments during general public comments, so this would have to be something that would have to come back for further discussion.
Thank you.
All I'm saying is
Okay.
that I think we should,
Speaker?
we
Thank
should,
you, Mr. Farmer.
I got 40 seconds left. I mean, he asked me a question
Actually, you
before
had
my-
completed your comments.
Okay, well, I said what I had to say, thank you. I think point was made.
Mr. Hinkie? John Hinkie?
Well, I don't get up here very often, but I am up here for about the same reason Sean was here. And I think that you guys have run us down. I own probably a little over 40,000 square feet of property. It's all paid for. I've worked hard, and I didn't have much help out of you guys. But I wish you were trying to change your mind on certain things like this. You ain't gonna affect me, but it's the new people coming up that you might get into your venture. So, have a nice day.
Thank you. Any further public comment regarding? Did you want to talk at the item, or did you want to talk?
That item's not on the agenda, that item is part of the public comment. This is from the previous agenda.
I went back to, okay. Dan Denier, that's fine.
Madam Mayor, members of the council. My name is Dan Denier. I believe most of you know me, some of you may not. I was born and raised in Galt, and I'm proud to call Galt my hometown. I'm addressing you this evening to express my concern and disappointment in your recent decision to make changes to the qualifications of citizens who serve on the commissions and committees. Unfortunately, I was unable to attend the meeting on February 20th when this item was discussed. However, I have watched the video, and I listened to the discussion that was held. There were a couple of comments that stood out to me, particularly the ones by Councilmember Campion. He mentioned that if you're a resident of the city, you have a more vested interest, especially on the Planning Commission. I completely disagree with this statement and this way of thinking. My family have been proud to call Galt home for 98 years now. Many of my family members, including myself, have dedicated ourselves to several boards, commissions, and committees in order to help make Galt the great American little town that we all love. However, most of these family members, including myself, do not live within the city limits. We have worked in the city, we have volunteered in the city, we have owned businesses in the city. We have even worked as public servants for this city. To say that anyone who does not live within this city is not as vested in this city is a gross inaccuracy. My zip code is the same as yours. My address is Galt, California, same as yours. Just because I do not live within the city limits does not mean that I am not from Galt. It does not mean that I am not a citizen of Galt. It does not mean that I am not vested in Galt. It does not mean that I shouldn't have a say in the future of Galt, my hometown. Galt's history shows that many of our more well-known and prominent citizens did not live within the city limits. These same citizens were the ones who helped direct, guide, and build our city. These same citizens were vested in Galt. By implementing this change, you are removing the potential for people who love our community and are proud to call it home from having any type of say in its direction or future. I believe that this is the wrong move on your part. I also believe that this is the type of decision that will create more of a division amongst our citizens, not unity, and that is never good for our city. I can understand your concerns with using the high school district boundaries, but there are other possibilities. I would recommend that in order to serve on a commissioner committee in the city, the interested party would need to have a physical address that uses the 95632 zip code. That way they are from Galt. They are a part of Galt. They should have a say in the direction of Galt. I assure you there are many citizens who do not live within the city limits who are very much so vested in Galt's past, present, and future. I thank you for hearing me today. I have a copy that I'm providing each of you of my statement. My contact information is on the bottom of it. Feel free to contact me anytime if you'd like to discuss this further.
Thank you. Any further public comment?
Thanks.
Let's move on. Reports by city council members on regional boards, commissions, and committees. Kurt?
I don't have anything tonight.
Paige? Tom?
Yeah, unless you're going to mention the tour that we were on.
Can.
It was publicly noticed. I'll let you. I'll just mention the auditing committee that we're on. I really would like to thank the committee members. Vern, Emily, Sean. It went real smooth. I think we're on the tail end of it now, and it should be coming up on the council agenda March 20th. So thank you again. And I did have every intention of attending the Sacramento Valley Division membership meeting last Friday, but it was in Placerville, and I think at the time the meeting was, Highway 50 was kind of closed. The weather was awful, so I didn't make it. That's all I've got.
Mark?
I have nothing.
Okay, so I did want to comment that we had a CAST meeting, Cities and Schools Together. Councilmember Campion and I attended. We talked about a couple of issues that are regarding the schools and the cities working together on, and are having another meeting in a few weeks. Yeah, okay. I attended Library Authority, and I just wanted to, I kind of found something out, so I thought I would share that because I think it's a great thing for the community to know that you can actually just go online to Sacramento Public Libraries and get a library card online. You don't even have to physically go into the library. You can get it online, and then you can immediately download books, audio and reading books, or print books. So I thought that was a great resource. So for people who are busy and can't get into the library, the fact that you can just go online and get your card and download the book immediately, I thought was a great, they gave us a presentation on it. I thought it was a wonderful resource. The city council as a whole did make a trip with the planning commission to see some housing developments in Folsom and Rancho Cordova. We also, I met with Angela DePrado, president of the high school board, and I passed out to each one of the council members a flyer that's an update on, a flyer that's an update on the bond measure, on what they're doing with it. So she wanted me to share that. I left some back by the door also. And I did attend today for the presentation to our Citizens Assisting Police Services, our CAPS volunteers, for the Chamber Business of the, was named Chamber Business of the Month for for March. So congratulations to them. Okay. So information consent calendar, I pulled item 6, support of the Reducing Crime and Keeping California Safe Act of 2018. Chief, if you give us a.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. So before I get started, there are some young people in the audience.
So parents, if you're with them, some of the information I'm going to share, you might not want them to listen to. So give you an opportunity if you want them to step out before I start. Okay. I am a proud member of the California Police Officers Association for the state of California. I'm a board member. I represent Sacramento County, Yolo County, and Sutter County. There's only 25 board members in the state of California that are selected to be on this board, and I'm proud to serve. So, as a member of the California Police Officers Association representing more than 300 active police chiefs, we are directly responsible for the safety of roughly about 26 million Californians. Over the last several legislative sessions and election cycles, our association and law enforcement partners have tried our best to integrate a series of major reforms into our criminal justice system. However, the cumulative efforts has created impacts to our community that we cannot ignore. But it's important to note that in addressing these consequences, we are not proposing to do away with all of the recent changes, and in no way are we advocating for a system of mass incarceration. In general, the overall intent of the prior measures has been to increase opportunities for rehabilitation while lowering recidivism and incarceration rates, and we agree with both of those goals. But these major policy changes have resulted in a serious unintended consequences that have negatively impacted public safety in communities throughout California. Changes meant to help keep someone safe, or someone who steals a magazine out of jail, are now allowing individuals to steal up to $950 repeatedly from stores and businesses. And with that, the cost, the billions of dollars that's caused to the state of California and the retail industry has been passed on to consumers. Additionally, reform intended to lower penalties on personal drug use and theft have diminished the amount of evidence law enforcement can collect to help solve cold case murders, rapes, and robberies. And modifications to our parole system designed to apply to nonviolent offenders are set to potentially provide early releases for serious domestic abusers. This initiative helps crack down on repeated offenders and protect our most valuable victims from dangerous individuals who take advantage of our laws, our businesses, and our communities. So I think it's important that everybody knows what, when Prop 47 was passed, what changed. The thing that affects us the most, I mean, there's a number of different things that went from a felony to a misdemeanor. But one of the other things that happened when passing of Prop 47 was the consideration of what is considered a nonviolent felony. So when you go to prison, what is a nonviolent felony? I'm going to read those off. What currently under the state of California, this is a law considered to be a nonviolent felony. Human trafficking of a child, abducting a minor for prostitution, rape by intoxication, rape of an unconscious person, felony sexual penetration, drive-by shootings or shooting on foot or at an uninhabited dwelling or vehicle, assault with a firearm, felony domestic violence, felony assault with a deadly weapon, serial arson, solicitation to commit murder, assault with caustic chemicals, assault by a caregiver on a child under 8 that could result in death or coma, felony assault using force likely to produce great bodily injury, false imprisonment, taking a hostage when avoiding arrest or to use as a shield, assaulting a police officer with or without a firearm, exploding a bomb to injure people, felony hate crimes, any felony where deadly weapons are used, felony use of force or threats against a witness or a victim of a crime, and felony elder or domestic adult abuse. Those are currently nonviolent felonies within our California laws right now.
So the violent list would be shorter from the sounds of it?
Well, those are all reduced from before Prop 47, those were violent felonies.
What's the difference between a nonviolent felony then and a felony?
Time.
Just, so I'll get to the points on that, what happens if you're classified as a violent or nonviolent felon. So this initiative, under violent crimes, this initiative expands the list of violent crimes for which early release is not an option, and classifies as as violent felonies, making these criminal convictions eligible for early release. So what happens is that when you're eligible for parole, they look at your most recent incarceration, the primary thing you were incarcerated for. And if it's listed as a nonviolent felon, you're eligible for parole at an earlier date than what the judge gave you. So that's why these classifications are so important to change. The other thing that's happened with our recent Prop 47, what we're asking for with this initiative is to reinstate DNA collection for certain crimes that were reduced to misdemeanors under Prop 47. Multiple studies have shown that DNA collection from thefts and drug crimes have helped solve other violent crimes, including robbery, rape, and murder. Since the passage of Prop 47, cold cases have dropped over 2,000 since the passage of Prop 47, with more than 450 of these hits connected to violent crimes. Let's talk about the serial thefts. So as it is right now, if you steal under $950 under Prop 47, you can keep stealing $950 or $949 over and over and over again. And all these major retailers within the state of California are feeling the effects. Small businesses are feeling the effects. So when we go and we are called and they are actually caught, it's a ticket. It's a non-bookable offense, and we give them a ticket and send them on their way. And then that gives them the opportunity to turn right back in, go to another store, and steal $950 worth of stuff, or under $950, and it's a ticket, and when they send them on their way, because it's a non-bookable offense. And that is passed on to consumers. So what we're proposing is that if you're caught 3 times stealing more than $250, it changes into a felony. Proposition 47 changed the dollar. We want to change the dollar threshold, but when Prop 47 came along, it used to be $450 and now it's $950. As a result, there has been an explosion of serial thefts and the inability for law enforcement to prosecute these crimes effectively. Thefts have increased by 12 to 25%, with losses in the billions of dollars since this has been passed, since 2014. That's just in the state of California. And under the parole violations, the other thing that this initiative would do is it would require the parole board hearings to consider an inmate's entire criminal history when deciding parole, not just the most recent commitment. And requires a mandatory hearing to determine whether parole should be revoked for a parolee who violates the terms of his parole for the 3rd time. Since AB 109, what happens now is that if there's a parole violation, they get what's called a flash incarceration. Flash incarceration doesn't send them back to prison, it sends them to the county jails for a maximum of 10 days. So the parolees know that. They know that they can violate their parole as many times as they wish, and the max they're going to get is about 10 days in county jail. So, and the other thing is that under AB 109, when that was passed, you're only paroled based on your most recent offense. And the description I would give is that if I committed a violent felony and I was released and I spent my 8 years in prison and I'm being paroled for 4 years, I go out and I go commit a burglary and I get caught, I go back for my new sentencing, I'm going to spend my time in county jail, and when I'm released, I'm going to get a shorter parole sentence. And that's been going on since 2011. So this would change all that. So what we're recommending is the council adopt a resolution supporting the initiative Reducing Crime and Keeping California Safe Act of 2008. What's going on right now, the last thing that is needed is about 100,000 more signatures in the state of California. There's over 200,000 signatures people have already signed, and then once the rest of them are signed, it'll be put on the November ballot. So.
Did you
that
bring a
concludes
form?
My presentation. What's that?
Did you bring a form?
Well, if anybody wants to sign that initiative, they can go on Keep Cal Safe, so that's KeepCalSafe.org, and you can sign the petition there. A lot of cities and a lot of organizations are starting their own petition drive, downloading those forms and getting other people to sign, to get that petition signed. The last thing I want to say is that every single day, not every single day, but most weeks, I get somebody approach me and saying, what are you going to do about fill in the blank? And it's the people that are stealing from them, the people that they see stealing from Walmart. This is an opportunity to help that cause, even at the smallest level. That piece about, I'm speaking to the audience now, that piece about what is now constituted as a non-violent felony, it's appalling. And the voters, when they voted for it, it was dubbed as the Safe Neighborhoods and Safe School Act.
Wow.
That was Prop 47. Because the money that was supposed to be saved in the incarcerating these folks was supposed to go to the schools. I don't know if that money's ever made it there. I'm not going to say whether it has or not, but that's why it was dubbed that. But I would say that there are more people on our streets now than ever before since 2014. So that concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the council?
Yeah, it needs to be clean, it's a cleanup, is what,
It definitely is a cleanup.
definitely.
Well, I know in 2014, all of us that were involved in anything in law enforcement knew that 47 had problems.
Yes.
And so I'm glad to see that they're moving forward on, that the California Police Chiefs Association's trying to help us out and get it fixed.
Well, if you're looking for a
Motion?
motion, I'll make it.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Mulson, second by Vice Mayor Cruz. Call for the vote?
I'm sorry, motion to approve the consent calendar?
No, motion.
No.
Item 6.
Item 6, support of the Reducing Crime and Keeping California Safe Act of 2018.
Okay. Call for the vote?
Vice Mayor Cruz?
Aye.
Councilmember Mawson?
Aye.
Councilmember Campion?
Aye.
Councilmember Lamson?
Aye.
Mayor Hewer?
Aye. Information consent calendar. Donna, will you read the items?
Minutes of the regular meeting of February 20th, 2018. Warrants for period ending February 27th, 2018. Approval of a multi-year lease agreement for the parcels comprising the former Huseman Auction Yard property. Authorize the city manager to execute a multi-year contract for on-call financial consulting services. And finally, zoning ordinance amendment to reduce the street side yard fence setback and residential zoning districts to 5 feet.
I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved by Vice Mayor Cruz, second by Councilmember Mulson. Call for the vote?
Vice Mayor Cruz?
Aye.
Councilmember Mulson?
Aye.
Councilmember Campion?
Aye.
Councilmember Lamson?
Aye.
Mayor Hewer?
Aye. Passes 5-0 vote. Okay, down to the city manager's office. Subject, establish the strategic plan goals, objectives, and priorities as a vital tool to implement a plan of action to achieve results for fiscal year 2018, 2019, and 2019, 2020.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Item before you is to adopt a resolution for our strategic plan, goals, objectives, and priorities for the next 2 fiscal years. And as you know, this is one of the exciting parts of my job is getting into the strategic planning, working with the council, working with staff, and taking a look at that future on what we want to achieve and prioritize for the next 2 years. It's also really our first step in establishing our budget process for this next year, because once we adopt a strategic plan, I line that strategic plan up with the budget, and I know where to focus our priorities. We went through the last couple months a process with the city council and the department directors I had a consultant come in or a facilitator come in and work with us, sit down with the council, ask numerous questions on your priorities. That assisted us in a one-day or half-day strategic plan session that we had in late January. A couple weeks after that, I sat down with our directors. We had a kind of a retreat, and we kind of rolled up our sleeves and took the input that the council gave us, and we put those goals under or priorities under each of the goals. And what you have before you today is a strategic plan. We did not change our mission, vision, organizational values, or our 5 goals that we've established in the past. What we did is we put objectives to those goals. So in the packet before you is those 5 goals with several objectives under each of those goals and how we are going to accomplish those objectives. Once adopted and approved, we'll take this information, kind of line that up with the budget. We'll also report back to the council on a quarterly basis, similar to how we report back on the capital improvement program, and just update the council on our progress and that we're making with these objectives. So open to questions.
Questions?
No, we went over it all.
We lived it.
I think we were all at the process, weren't we?
Yeah, we lived it.
Yeah, we lived it.
Thank you, Jean. Do we have any public comment? No public comment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilmember Campion, second by Councilmember why am I- Lamson. Call for the vote.
Vice Mayor Cruz?
Aye.
Councilmember Mawson?
Aye.
Councilmember Campion?
Aye.
Councilmember Lamson?
Aye.
Mayor Hewer?
Aye. Passes on a 5-0 vote. Community Development Department, Annual 2030 Galt General Plan and Housing Element Progress Report for 2017. Mr. Arias?
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Chris Arias, Community Development Director. The item we have before you, as stated, is the Annual General Plan Progress Report. And I'm happy to see so many people here for this exciting item. The state requires the filing of this Annual General Plan Progress Report. The report contains each of the general plan elements and progress in implementing these policies and progress in meeting the fair share of the city's regional housing requirements. The Galt General Plan includes 10 chapters or elements. Each of these will list a set of goals with set policies to help achieve each goal. The state mandates 7 elements. Those are land use, circulation, housing, conservation, open space, noise, and safety. The city condenses conservation and open space, and then we add a few more elements for a total of 10. The added city elements are public facilities and services, community character, economic development, and historic uses. And for the reporting year, there were no general plan amendments, so that was 2017. The report is basically formatted as you see on the screen. We show the status of each of the policies in the 10 elements on the left-hand side of the chart, and the screen shows a sample, and then on the right-hand side of the chart, we basically give an update of each of those policies. So each of the 10 elements contains this same type of format. This slide's a little tough to read, but it is our progress toward meeting our housing requirements. For this housing cycle, which is 2014 through 2021, we were allocated a total of 679 units. And you can see that total in the left-hand corner of the screen. And since the start of this cycle of 2014, most of our production has all been in the above moderate category, which is the standard single-family home. I should note that the city is not required to build the sites. We're just merely required to provide for the sites. So you see our production on the screen. In 2014, we had 29 single-family homes. In 2015, 45. Our big year was 2016, where we had 134 single-family homes built, and then last year, 71. But you can see we really haven't had much production in the lower income groups. I think the last production we had there was Galt Place. The report also contains planning commission activity for the reporting year. And it wasn't a particularly busy year for the Planning Commission, but they did work on some significant projects. And two that come to note are the Trail Ridge Apartments. They were approved by Planning Commission this past year, as well as the apartments above the building at 4th and C. And both of those projects, when they come online, which would be next year, they will be in the 2018 reporting year and will help in those other income categories as we move forward. So they were an important part of helping meet our housing requirements. The report will also list city accomplishments for the year, and I just put a few on the screen. Big ones of note were the city receiving the grant from the California Energy Commission for the Climate Action Plan, for the Carillion Boulevard Master Plan, and also for the Galt Market Master Plan. And then the biggest accomplishment last year was really the formal annexation of Eastview, so that the city grew by 500 acres last year due to that annexation. And so that concludes the staff presentation. We ask that the City Council accept the report and direct staff to submit it to the state office consistent with state code. And we're available to answer any questions you might have.
The only comment I had, and it probably doesn't fit in the general plan, but under safety and seismic, with the train derailments, everybody remembers, it's not covered in the general plan. However, in discussions with the city manager, the place might be better in our emergency operations plan, which we might want to look at the safety committee. So it was a good memory jog for that. Yeah, I did read the whole thing.
If you got that far, I know you did.
Had a good night's sleep, too.
Any further comments? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chris. Have any public comment? Do I have a motion?
Move for approval?
I'll second.
Moved by Councilmember Campion, second by Councilmember Mawson. Call for the vote.
Vice Mayor Cruz?
Aye.
Councilmember Mawson?
Aye.
Councilmember Campion?
Aye.
Councilmember Lamson?
Aye.
Mayor Hewer?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0 vote. Finance Department, subject, master fee schedule update.
Good evening, Mayor Hewer, members of the council. Before Vera Wittenberg comes up to provide the presentation, I'd like to advise you of a few language changes that we had. I believe you have in front of you the resolution and track changes that will show you what we've had, but I would like to read the changes into the record so that the public is aware of them. The next to the last whereas has been changed, and I will read what the new language is. It says, whereas the City Council desires to delegate the authority and responsibility to the city manager based upon recommendation of the Parks and Recreation Director to establish temporary and/or promotional fees for the Parks and Recreation facilities, including Galt Market grounds, in an effort to attract sports tournaments and special events which are in line with the City of Galt's mission statement, vision statement, and strategic plan. This authority may This authority may not be used to circumvent any other City of Galt policy adopted by the City Council, including but not limited to the special event policy and its procedures. Adjustments to the fees will be reported to the City Council within 30 days. So that's that whereas is being changed. Section 1, under the now therefores, we have an insertion of a phrase, and it's on the second and third line where it says, the fees shall be imposed, charged, and collected by the various city departments on the effective date set forth below. That phrase, on the effective date set forth below, is one of the changes. And then the last item on the resolution is Section 5, and the language on that has been changed as well, and I will read that for the record. Section 5, City Manager Authority. The City Manager is hereby granted the authority to establish temporary and/or promotional fees for Parks and Recreation facilities, including the Galt Market grounds. This authority may not be used to circumvent any other City of Galt policy adopted by the City Council. Any such adjustment will be reported to the City Council within 30 days. So I'd like to ask you, should you want to adopt this resolution, that your motion to adopt would include those changes? Of course, you can make any other changes that you wish during your discussion. I also have two changes on the fees portion. Under Parks and Recreation, these pages aren't numbered in the agenda packet, but I'm looking at page 19 in the Adobe file. I'm not sure if you have just one file, if that's going to be page 19 for you or not. It's the Parks and Recreation, the beginning of that department, and it's the Littleton Chabola Community Center rental fees. I'll give you a moment to. You should also have in front of you a couple of pages that showed you where the adjustments were being made. So under the line following rental cancellations deposit, we've inserted a line that says security cleaning deposit for nonprofits, and the proposed fee is $150. A couple pages further on, under SOAR, Social Overall Economic and Recreation Program, the first line there, the after-school program per month fee, the recommended fee is being adjusted to $135. Following that is the SOAR summer program, Monday through Friday, full days. The recommended fee is being adjusted to $120. So should you decide to accept the fee schedule, I would ask that you include those changes in your motion to adopt. Do you have any questions on that before I turn it over to Vera? Okay.
Section 5, what's the reasoning behind giving the city manager the authority to establish fees instead of the Parks and Rec?
I believe we wanted some flexibility to try and attract sporting tournaments and other events. I'd ask Armando if he would comment on that, or the city manager to comment on that.
It gives us a little flexibility instead of having to agendize it to get permission to change any fees. Obviously, we would be, the canine trials that are coming up, it would be able to attract those type of events where we can meet with the directors and, strike a deal to come to this town and have their events versus coming back to council, asking permission to change the fees for that one event. We do something similar at the Galt Market where we do our winter rates or our specials, and then we come back and report it to city council. We don't make permanent changes. It's just to those special events.
Particularly when there was a short time frame. I remember that was an issue in the past where you couldn't get on an agenda.
Right.
For various reasons.
Yeah.
So you don't have the authority to do that? I thought.
No,
Okay.
we do not.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, I'll turn it over to Vera Wittenberg. She's our accounting manager who's done a lot of work on this, and she will present that.
Good evening, Mayor Hewer and members of the council. Tonight I'll be presenting the master fee schedule, the update of 2018. Right there, sorry. All right, so a little history. Back in August of 2018, we had a comprehensive fee study done. At that time, fees were adjusted. We were at a recovery rate of 45%, and that was increased to 54%. After that fee study, we had Resolution 2015-72 that further increased the fees by 2.436 CPI. Last year, we came and we increased the fees by 3.437%. And these fees are usually updated every year. We had a little bit of a gap there. So what we're trying to do is be a little bit more on standard and do every year. This year's CPI is 2.687%. So on the fee schedule, there are two different types of fees. One, there's a regulatory fee, and two, a user fee. The regulatory fee are fees we can't avoid, such as sales tax. They are necessary to regulate businesses and to have any other activities that we need to go on. With the second fee, user fees, those are fees that you are paying if you're using something. For example, if you are renting the Littleton Center, you're using an item or a function of the city, and therefore you're going to pay a user fee. Another example of that would be paying to use the pool. You're swimming, therefore you're paying that fee. Fees that are established by legislative action, either the city or the state, they are not subject to CIP. They have to go through another measure. The fees that are able to be increased by CPI, they have Proposition 26. Proposition 26 states that we cannot charge more than what it costs to provide these services. So, what's changing? There are some significant changes in the schedule. Community Development Department, also known as CDD, most of those fees are going to receive a pass this year. That is because we're trying to promote and attract more developers to come to the city, so we are not increasing their fees. There is also a reduction to the plan review, it's about 20% of the fee. What this means is a developer who's coming in and is going to build a tract of homes, they have 5 to 7 home types, so they're not having to review as many different plans, whereas a custom tract home might have several plans being reviewed. There is an existing fee that's being renamed. It's the CRW permit tracking. That was $38. What the department is recommending is that we split the cost. It will be split into the technology program recovery fee of $24 and then the technology maintenance fee of $20. Finance department. There's a difference between a municipal code and a resolution, and the municipal code supersedes the resolution. So we have 2 fees that we're trying to change back to the municipal code. That would be the dishonor checks and the delinquent business license tax. Parks and Rec. The rental fees are high. Some of the rental fees are having a pass. They're set at the market rate. We can't really increase them anymore, or it would start to discourage people from using those rentals. Some of the programs are increasing, and that is due to the fact that minimum wage has increased and will be increasing over the past few years and the upcoming years. There have been some name changes kind of to fit the categories into a better description of what that program is actually doing. There is also 2 removal of fees. The first one based on the staff's presentation on February 6th. They're recommending that the rental fee waiver for nonprofit organizations be removed. Currently, there is a nonprofit rate that is 50% of the regular private rental. And then the adult basketball fee is being removed as the program has closed up. They are no longer running a adult basketball. Now, with the aquatic center, there is delayed implementation. The last resolution increased their fees, and they haven't gone in. They only went into effect in January. So rather than increase it again, we are waiting the full 12 months. So they will not go up until January of 2019. Public Works. Public Works is increasing their check-in inspections for anything over 351 cubic yards. That's basically just to keep in line with all of the other rates that they have.
Here, if I might just clarify that last, that is our grading permit fee plan check. It is not our general plan check.
Thank you, Stephen. Okay, so what we were asking is for the council to adopt the resolution with the changes that Emily mentioned earlier. Are there any questions?
Questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a large number of public comments regarding this item, so with the council's approval, I'd like to reduce public comment to 3 minutes per speaker. Otherwise, we would have well over 2 hours of.
How many comments do you have?
counted 12. But maybe that was the initial. 9,
I don't care. Let them have 5 minutes.
not 5 minutes?
If it gets repetitive, we can always, you know, it
Okay.
doesn't have to be.
So if members would like to keep their comments to be, not be real repetitive, but we will go ahead and stick with 5 minutes. Carly Richmond? Oh, I need to open public hearing.
Thank you.
Carly Richmond?
Hello, my name is Carly, and I am defending the previous statement. I'm a Girl Scout, member of Troop 1803, and I've been a member of Girl Scouts since 2013. And since that time, our Girl Scout service unit has hosted numerous events in the Galt public facilities. We have hosted our Daddy-Daughter Dance, our Girl Scout Pinewood Derby, World Thinking Day, Cookie Rally, our Bridging Ceremony, and other nonprofit events. During the same time period, us Girl Scouts in a service unit, we have collected food for the needy, done free little libraries, then did community gardens, help pack the Thanksgiving dinners, and we participate in the holiday parades representing Galt as Girl Scouts. So our sole source of funding is our cookie sales, and a lot of our troop money goes back into Galt. And all of our service events are provided at low to no cost at all to our girls, and all of our events are nonprofit. And increasing the cost for us to use the public facilities will negatively impact the nonprofit organizations, and it will cause us Girl Scouts to not do any more events in there. So, I know this is short, but I strongly urge you as Galt City Council members to seek out other means of funding for city projects that does not impact the nonprofit organizations. Thank you for your time, for listening to me. I know it was very short. Do you have any questions or comments?
Thank you. Adam Gallaty? And Janice Barsetti following Adam.
How you doing, City Council? Sorry, big turnout tonight. So I'm just here to speak about just not the nonprofits or anything like that, just the Parks and Rec department of it, and the increase in fees according to city tots and just the recreational programs here in town. So I've looked at some of the public reports that are available online. I understand I don't know all the inner workings of the Parks and Rec department. You know, I don't work there. I'm just an outsider looking in. But someone that has 10 years of business management experience, managing large budgets such as this, you can't help but look at it and think, what's going on when you look at the Parks and Rec budget and you see that it's $1 million in the hole, and they're at almost an all-time high in spending and an all-time low in earnings. So it makes me wonder, are we utilizing all of our stuff that we have in town, such as the flea market? Can we open that up additional day? What can we do there? Are we utilizing Walker Park to its full extent? Everything in town. I just see that there's a deficit in the first place that we turn, you guys as a city council, is to tax us more. Whether it's a few dollars on this, a few dollars on that, whatever it may be. We just started paying $40 more every 2 months in our sewage. Now we got this coming. It's frustrating, very frustrating, to say the least. So from someone who has business management experience, when do we start holding people accountable for their budgets to stay within their allotted budget? When does that start? Never. We kick the can down the road, let someone else deal with it. It's frustrating. So, I'm just wondering what else we can do to raise funds besides passing it on to the citizens of this town. What else can we do? Show the public what you're working on to make it a better town. To make sure then we might not have this big, look at our community. We turned out in full because of a fee increase. When was the last time there was this many people in this building? Think about it. You're up here, you're elected officials. I don't know all your campaign promises. I don't know what you ran on, but maybe we should look at it, make sure we're holding you guys all accountable. It's frustrating. I think everyone's frustrated. Looks pretty evident. So what's the plan going forward? What do we do? Do we pass it on to us? Make nonprofits pay for more in the community? Make me have to pay more for both my kids to go to city tots? You guys can't even keep the website up to date. Come on. Let's get with it. Want more money, but we can't keep the programs we have afloat. But we want more of your money to mismanage. When we buy these parks and rec equipment, the playgrounds, it's not a one-time fee. We all know it's not a one-time fee. Where was that money that was budgeted to maintain it? Where was the money that was budgeted to replace that equipment 10 years down the road? Why are we looking for it now from the citizen? What's going on? So I think that's about all I have to say. I'm just frustrated. I could speak for the next 30 minutes if you let me, but I'll cut it short. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Adam.
Mayor Hewer, council members, I'm Janice Barsetti Gray, president of the Galt Area Historical Society, and I'm also speaking on behalf of the Galt High School Alumni Association. I'm members of both of them. All of you are members of the Galt Area Historical Society. Councilman Molson, a past president, so you all know what the Galt Area Historical Society is about and what we do for the community in the area. We restore, and we preserve the Galt history for generations to come. We use the Littleton Center once a year for our annual An Evening in Italy dinner. And the Galt High School alumni uses it once a year for our annual dinner in October, annual alumni dinner. And that dinner has alumni from the 1930s all the way to the present. And that dinner, we have last year, through the proceeds of the dinner, we were able to give out over $8,000 in scholarships to Galt High School seniors who are going to college this year. So my point is what we do in this community as a nonprofit goes right back into the community. We don't put it in our coffers and leave it sitting there. We're constantly spending money. The Ray House Museum costs us over $2,000 a month to maintain. The McFarland is close to $3,000 a month to maintain. Those fees, have to come from somewhere. So as you know, we do a lot of fundraisers. We try to take care of what we can ourselves. We at points ask for grants, but we're constantly putting back into this community, and we do appreciate the fact that we're able to speak here tonight to tell you our opinions, and we would like you to not increase the fees for the nonprofits. Obviously we only use the Littleton, and perhaps once we get our event center at the McFarland Ranch built, maybe it won't be an issue to you because maybe people will want to rent that from us. So I'm just saying that I do appreciate the fact that you consider not raising these fees for nonprofits. Thank you.
Can I just ask you a question, Janice?
Oh, sure, I'm sorry.
Okay. So does the Historical Society waive their rental fees for nonprofits?
We have a special rate for nonprofits.
You have a special rate.
Yeah, special
You
rate.
do charge.
We do, yeah.
Thank you.
But it's like a lot less than what everybody else pays, so,
Thank you.
yeah.
Sean Farmer? Following Mr. Farmer is Betty Welch. Welch? Sorry.
We meet again. I'm not going to ever try to repeat some of the things that some others, I'm sure there's a lot of other people that are going to comment on the same thing. I'm here to speak kind of on the same notes. First of all, I want to say that it is awesome to see, good or bad, the amount of people that turn out at a city council meeting. If it could be like this every week, it would show that the people in the community are at least interested in what's going on in their hometown. So I applaud everybody that's here tonight. Thank you for sitting through all this to come to this point. To piggyback on what Adam said, first, I know that this fee increase is directly related to the parks presentation that Mr. Solis gave at the last meeting before last. You know, it was very depressing. We saw all the things that are needed. First of all, I don't think anything that's going to be said tonight is going to be directed at Mr. Solis. I think he does an excellent job running. He can only do and work with what he has to work with. So I think, if he's given, X, that's what he has to work with. So he's probably just trying to make what he can. But what I've noticed when I read the whole entire report is that it's a little heavy on some of the things that I think are where it hurts the most. We're talking about reducing fees on development and stuff like that. And I understand doing that, you want to entice development. Right now, the housing market is smoking hot. I don't think that developers right now are going to care about a small decrease on certain things, in my opinion. But what I can see is up to a 37% increase on certain girls softball, for example. I've coached these girls. These are girls whose families want to get their kids into sports. They can't afford travel ball and things like this. This is an entry level, hey, my kid wants to play sports, I'm going to get him in a program like that. Some of these fees are going to go up 37%. It's 20 something to 30. I've noticed the fee increases, that's some of the area that's being hit the most. These are the areas where these kids can't really afford it. Some of the other fees are around adult softball, like something that I participate in. And I've stated that I'm against fee increase without a strategy. It'd be different if somebody said, you're going to pay 20% more, Mr. Farmer, to sponsor your teams. And by the way, I spend a lot of money spending on softball teams than I have for the decade, a lot of money. And what I see is our softball complex is just deteriorating. It's not being, I understand the money's not there, but when you have seen slow increases over the last 10 years, and you've shown here there was 2%, 2 point something percent, 3 point something percent, another, in the last 4 years we've seen increases. The lights didn't even work in the bathroom last season. We've been playing, night games. The bathroom stall doors don't even lock. I mean, it's in bad shape. So for me, I don't have a problem paying more fees if I would see it, some kind of impact. It was something, nicer. Do we pay more other places? Absolutely. Other places, Field of Dreams in Manteca, Elk Grove, they have phenomenal facilities. And is it more expensive? Absolutely. But people will go and pay money to play in nice facilities. So if there's going to be fee increases in those areas, then I think that there needs to be a strategy where that money's going to go. Quickly on the nonprofits, there's a lot of different nonprofits in this community. They all give back. I understand that the city wants to try to find ways to cut costs. But let's be frank here, people. There's probably many other places we can dig around and find money without having the nonprofits pay another $600. I mean, these are organizations that put on events that then take that money and put it back into the community. Money that the city can't afford to give and the city wouldn't give. So if you guys are willing to go ahead and ask the Historical Society to pay the extra $600 when they rent, and then when they raise their $8,000 for the scholarship, they can just say, little Timmy, we'll just go ahead and give you $7,400 instead of $8 because we had to pay another $600. And I guess that's fine. I mean, but it seems a little wrong to do that. I mean, I think that if you look at the grand scheme, there's a lot of admin costs and there's a lot of costs in there, and we're really splitting peas at this point to say that we're going to go after nonprofits for an extra $600 or something. I mean, before the question even comes up, yes, my family owns a facility, and yes, we do offer a reduced rate. It's actually $600, and it includes all the security and everything included. So if you guys end up passing this, we will be there for the nonprofits to provide a place if you need it. And that's a private citizen. That's coming out of a personal pocketbook. This is not a city. We can't afford it like the city can afford it. So just please look, before you vote on this, just step back and say, let's look at the big picture here. Can we look at every possible thing that we can do? Is there anywhere we can try to find a way to cover these costs? Can we reach out to private enterprise? Can we reach out to businesses such as like Walmart, for example, and ask them, hey, Walmart, how about you sponsor this field over here? We'll put your name on it for a year, and you can pay for all the maintenance fees. I mean, that's what AT&T does for San Francisco Stadium and the Giant Stadium in San Francisco. So we need to think outside of the box here, people. We need to come up with ideas how to generate money to pay for these fees without hitting the people in the pocketbooks. Thanks.
Betty Welch. And following Betty is Gloria Stemler.
Hello, my name is Betty Welch. I'm with the Galt Senior Club. As you've heard many people here talking tonight on the nonprofit fee increase, I understand where they're coming from. A lot of our seniors do put on events that go towards the community. We have raised 2 scholarships every year that go towards high school students. We also, this year, our other funding went towards the shut-ins from the Meals on Wheels, and they were each given a nice holiday gift in which that they could enjoy. We have other programs that are going on along with this, and I urge you to consider what these nonprofits do for the community. What benefit have they contributed that helps you in helping the community become a better community in which we can raise our kids? Also, please consider what cost you would incur if these nonprofits weren't here to provide the services they provide to this community. If they can't afford these fees, they will not be putting on any of these opportunities that are out there. Everybody has a budget. Many of us are on very fixed budgets, but we still find ways to make it meet. We get creative in our ideas. Perhaps we could do things such as a community garage sale at the flea market that would go towards funding some of our projects that go towards the city. Other ideas that are out there, I know there are many, but please try to find another way to get these fees without raising it on the nonprofits. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Gloria Stemler. My address is 95362 Galt, California, but I'm on the wrong side of Sargent, so I'm in the county. Okay, the first thing I ever organized was Meals on Wheels, and that's still going today. The last thing I've organized as big is Laheim, and we're doing outreach with homeless, the poor families in the area. We have a boutique to help finance and pay the rent. I'm also a lifetime Girl Scout, so all that goes with me. And they've said a lot of good things here that I'm really proud of. But the thing is, we just used the hall Saturday. We had a great turnout. We cleaned up the place clean. And the guy came in and he said, wow. So we were all done. So I don't think we should be penalized for using the hall and leaving it clean. And it was clean when we got there, and we tried to leave it cleaner. But some nonprofits, I understand, are using it for, what do you call it? They're slobs, and they leave it. And so I could see giving them a warning and say, okay, one more time and you're out. Okay, penalize that group, but don't penalize all of us. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria. Nicole Gregg. Following Nicole is Erica Roaches.
Hello, thank you. I wasn't exactly planning to talk tonight, but it just kind of turned out that way. So I'm here representing Girl Scouts as well, and as Carly touched on a lot of things, we have done as she gave you guys a list of a lot of things we've done for community service around the city of Galt. One of the things that we've also done in addition to her list is we've participated in the River Oaks campus beautification program. None of our kids that were in that troop at the time go to River Oaks. However, there is a bronze award, there's a silver award, and there's a gold award that through Girl Scouts they have to, well, they don't have to, but it is an award they can accomplish and receive. Bronze is for juniors, which is in 4th and 5th grade. Silver is for cadets, which is in 6th to 8th grade. Seniors for 9th and 10th grade, and ambassadors 11 and 12. Within that, the requirements for that award are that they have to complete 50 hours of community service within our town. I think myself, I'm appalled if this goes through, that we put this much work into our community, because the majority of these girls in here have earned their bronze already, these older girls that are in the tan vests, and they are working on their silvers and actually on their bronze, on their golds as well. Let's see. When we hold events, I'm also on the service team unit for the planning for events. When we hold our events, we have girls that sign up for Girl Scouts because they can't afford, some girls, because they cannot afford to participate in the other programs that we have in this town. Softball, basketball, I don't think soccer's ran through the whatever, but I know baseball, softball. They can't afford it, and so therefore they do Girl Scouts, and that's the only thing they're allowed to do, because there's multiple kids in a family that just can't swing it. I've got 2 kids, and my husband and I both work, and it's hard. It's very hard. I'm a leader of 2 troops, and I just think it's very unfortunate that if the fees do go up, it's going to force our girls not to have any of these programs anymore. There are, like she said, our father-daughter dance, our father-daughter derby, all of that. If it's $500-600 to rent a facility for that, that is sometimes all that one troop has in their bank account. So now you're forcing those girls to take the money that they would use to earn badges and to learn the leadership roles, to hopefully where they could be up here sitting in your guys' seats in their future. But you guys would, by increasing this, would take that away from them, because their money would not be able to go towards badges and classes and training for that. Instead, it would go for fees to have an event so that they could have fun for a night, or so that daddies and daughters, or male figures and daughters, could bond and have a night. Myself, I grew up without my dad being around. That is a very special thing. I tell my husband, I encourage my husband, and he's a very good father to our daughters in that aspect, that he is there and he takes them to those events. And it's important. It's important for those daughters to have that. Just as with Boy Scouts, it's important for them to have that with their mothers. I think that, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, we recently found this information out. A girl that earns her gold award in Girl Scouts and goes on to be in the military, as soon as she is, as soon as she has completed her boot camp, she automatically ranks up 1 division because she has completed her gold. And, I think that if we're going to look at costs, as they said, cutting it somewhere, we have city employees that drive cars to and from basketball practices and everything, to and from things like that. Doctors don't expect their practices they work for, or hospitals, to pay for their cars when they go to see their patients. We have cell phones. 9 out of 10 people, okay, maybe 8 out of 10 people have a cell phone. Why are we paying for city employees to have a city cell phone when most of us, let's be honest, we have unlimited calls and text for the most part? So I think we need to, as Mr. Farmer said, I think we need to look at other ways to dip into other things and find cuts that we can make, rather than penalizing Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Lions clubs, all these clubs that give back to the community and scholarships.
Nicole, you'll have to wrap it up.
Yes, so I would just ask that you please, please, please look at other venues before you start cutting the kids' programs.
Thank
Or
you.
increasing.
Good evening. My name's Erica Rocha. I'm here in regards also to the nonprofit. So I'm with the football team. We're already being charged for lights. We're already being charged for facilities. We're being charged to use football fields. And now we do 1 dinner a year, and then we're going to be charged for that also. We ended our year last year with like $4,700 in non-paid fees by parents that couldn't afford it. And it's sad to me because I'm all about the kids. So to raise a fee for a nonprofit to use a facility to do a dinner, we have to certify helmets. to make sure they're safe for these kids. We have to get cheer mats to make sure that these girls have mats to be protected when they're doing their stunts. So we do one dinner a year, and to be charged all that money, it's just not fair to the kids. And if you think about it, football and cheer, all these other programs, they're keeping the kids off the street. So would you rather have where a parent can't pay $250, but now we're raising fees because now we have more fees that we have to pay on top of fees that we're already paying? It's just not fair to the kids. And again, like everyone else said, maybe developers aren't having a fee, but they have all this money, like everyone else has said, but you're gonna charge a nonprofit to use the facility for a night. That's pretty much it. I mean, everyone else has kind of put everything else out there. And I just wish you guys would consider other places and getting money in other places versus, I mean, because you're not penalizing the adults, you're really penalizing the children. And that's it.
Thank you. Diane Weiss, then Sherry Daly.
Good evening, everyone. I want to first say thank you very much for all you do to help our community, help all our youth, and keep our budget and keep our community as well of a place that I've raised my children and now are helping raise my grandchildren. So it's a hard thing. We have a lot of nonprofits in this town that support what happens to raise money for scholarships and for dictionaries for our schools. There's many hours that are put into service for the community by these service groups. It's not only the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts that serve our community, but also you have the Kiwanis, you have the Lions, you have the Rotary, and all that money that they raise goes right back into the community. As members of those associations, we do not take money to support our budgets for the year. That comes out of dues. So the work that they spend and the time that they spend helping our community by providing the services that they do, especially since I represent Boy Scouts, many service hours, including Eagle projects, have been put into the community. And so to waive that one portion of the paperwork that you were talking about was the ability for Parks and Rec to waive that fee and to take that away from those organizations that give back to the community. I would say please relook at that. As far as fees for doing service, or not service projects, but for raising money for their organizations, the Parks and Rec Galt flea market was donated to the city so that it could provide services for the youth. So again, I ask you to look at other ways of getting money to take care of the maintenance of those buildings and to help support the youth that support our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council members. I want to thank you all for your fiscal responsibility and really tackling this issue and looking at it long term. I know that Galt developed kind of strangely in that we had a lot of development 30 years ago, and we built a lot of parks all at the same time. They're all aging at the same time. So I realize you all didn't create this. I know that looking forward to maintenance wasn't something maybe 30 years ago when all of the parks were being built and all the facilities in the pool were all being constructed at the same time, meaning they would deteriorate at the same time. So I appreciate the situation you're in. I've also been a Cub Scout, Boy Scout leader from Tiger Cubs all the way up to my 2 Eagle Scouts. I've also been a Girl Scout leader from Daisies up to seniors. So I know how important the facility use is for these nonprofits. So a number of months ago when we talked about this, I brought forward a proposal that perhaps the council could look at a sliding scale. So you would pay perhaps 20% of your profits, that's after your expenses, so that if you're a Girl Scout or Boy Scout group who isn't making a profit on their event, or maybe a very small one, maybe you make $500 on your event, so you pay 20%. What is that? $100. So I think it's important that even nonprofits contribute to the upkeep of the facilities they then use to help the community and support their events. So they do use the facilities. However, I think there should be some sort of sliding scale. So if you're making $10 or $15 or $20,000 on a fundraising event, you would be able to pay all the way up until the standard fee that a for-profit or a private organization would use, and that would allow the smaller nonprofits or the really non-nonprofits, our Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, to still use the facilities and still make the improvements to the buildings and the upkeep to the maintenance of our aging parks and facilities. Thank you.
Okay, any further public comment? Seeing none, I close the public hearing. Council?
I don't know. And maybe I didn't think about it as deeply as people have explained tonight, but there are certainly differences in the use of the facilities. And I have a much better understanding of that. Obviously, Girl Scouts having an activity versus a crab feed where alcohol's being served, and it runs a lot longer in terms of time. And from what Armando has indicated, that there are higher maintenance issues associated with certain types of facilities and activities than others. You know, my suggestion, and this is just a suggestion, is that maybe we give this back to staff on this particular issue and dig a little bit deeper into the activities of each one of these. And I'm not saying a sliding scale, but I think it needs to be proportional to what the use is. Obviously, we're not doing full cost recovery now. We're doing no cost recovery. What I think Armando put together was an estimate of approximating what the cost recovery would be on an average of the nonprofits. Is that a correct assessment of that?
Yeah, we have the hard costs that we could easily calculate: staff time, cleaning supplies, restroom. Then the unaccounted for are the heat and air, water, sewage, wear and tear on the facility.
But what I'm talking about is the different type of activities, the different venues, whether it's Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, Historical Society, crab feed. I mean, I wouldn't, unless I'm wrong, it would appear to me that you would have a different cost of cleanup and maintenance.
Yes, it ranges, the hard costs range from $250 to 380, I believe it was, but did not include those other, you know, obviously a father-daughter dance, you wouldn't be using the kitchen, you know, you wouldn't have the restrooms where there's 400 people in attendance, you know, it's a smaller event.
Right.
So, you know, the cost would be less.
And I think those are variables that maybe we should, you know, see if we can somehow factor in as, you know, what is the total estimated number of people being there? What is the impact on the facility? Are they using the kitchen? Are they not using the kitchen? And you know, duration, in order to get a little bit better understanding of what we're actually dealing with and how many different events per year. Because right now, I can't tell you, I know we were given information several years ago about the number of events, but I don't recall what that is off the top of my head. And
15?
About 10.
15 total.
15 total.
Okay. So I think I would like to see, personally, some additional information along those lines, evaluating these various events and what the true impact is, and then discuss it at that time. So, the rest of the report, I don't have any comments on.
I just want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. It's kind of heartening to see everyone out here and for a good cause and interested in what we're doing. I was not expecting that to be on the in the report. So a lot of you guys have suggested come up with alternate ways, and some of you had some great ideas, some things we haven't thought of, and thinking outside of the box. And one of the things I was thinking about is I would like council to consider, it's a matter of budget, what we have and how we direct. I believe city manager told me it was about $6,000 that we have in waive fees, or is it 6,000?
Approximately.
Approximately about $6,000 in waive fees. We have a $10,000 community grant that very few people apply for every year, organizations. I believe we gave it to 1 or 2 people last year. I would suggest moving that $10,000 into a fee waiver fund for the nonprofits for the use of these facilities.
Well, Mark asked the question, read the answer. 15 nonprofits.
15 nonprofits, total of $9,000.
Total of $9,000 fees, fee waves.
That 10,000 would cover it.
10,000 would cover it.
Yep.
So if- as in a budget, then it wouldn't, we could budget for that, and it wouldn't.
And so nothing would change.
Well, I mean,
Well, I still think that you need to evaluate what the impact is on the facility.
That's a good, yes, that's a very good point.
Okay, you need to weigh something in here, okay? I like your idea, Kurt, and I like your idea also, Paige. But you have to understand something. That money is going to be coming to an end soon. That was an agreement between the city of Galt and the Softcom. Thank you, Kurt. And that's going to be coming to an end soon. So the sliding scale, the idea that, what the use is going to be, will be something to continue us on. The short term, I like the idea of using the community grant to offset for the nonprofits. I think you're right. We need to send this back to staff with these ideas and see what they can come up with.
Well, I think currently, looking at it, I think we could break it out further. There is no fee, kitchen use fee. And of course, events that are using the kitchen cost more, so maybe there could end up being some sort of a fee for events that don't use the kitchen as compared to events that do use the kitchen. I think there's also those types of events. I think there's events that are primarily for children. And when you talk about events for Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts that are fundamentally for children. And, I ran Girl Scouts in this town for 8 years and used those facilities and started the father-daughter dance. I mean, that was an event that I started in this community. And so I absolutely understand without these kinds of large facilities, those youth organizations wouldn't be able to hold events. So I have, of course, a very soft spot for Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts because I think it's a different kind of event than organizations that are primarily adult functions, or all adult functions, that are asking the citizens across the board to subsidize their events. Yes, the money goes back into the community, but we all know that on those kind of events, they're really big parties. And I've attended more crab feeds than I ever probably should remember, and those kind of events. But they're primarily adult events, and those events generate income that could pay for it. Just right now, we have $71,000 that we're having to spend on the Littleton Center repairs, and that's just to keep the rain out. We just spent $70,000 on a new floor at Shibuya Center.
I'd ask Public Works.
Yeah, wasn't it? Anyway, it was a fairly large amount of money. So it's not as if the city's not trying to keep these facilities up, because I think we really are trying to keep these facilities up. And what I think the community needs to remember is if we don't maintain these facilities, we're not going to have them.
That's right.
And there's so much deferred maintenance. And yes, do I wish that I could go back to the council of 10 years ago, that people that were sitting on it then, or 20 years ago, and say, gosh, why aren't you setting up a fund for maintaining these facilities? But they didn't. And I think that this city manager and this city staff are trying to be responsible in making recommendations to this council and saying, you've got deferred maintenance, hundreds of thousands of dollars of deferred maintenance that somehow you need to pay for, that as citizens, we need to pay for. I would also like to suggest, and maybe it's something we can look at, that some of these, particularly when it comes to nonprofits, because I do know the money goes back into the community, that maybe that money needs to be put aside I hate tying the hands of future councils or anything else, but that it go into maintenance of the buildings. Because that's the primary concern of mine, is I want to make sure that 10, 20, 30 years from now, that Girl Scouts have these buildings to use then, that that our community groups have a building to use, that we can hold community dinners. I also, we do have the community grant program. It is open to all 503.
3C.
501c. Say it again.
501c3.
501c3. And so, lots of organizations can put in for asking out of community grant money for the $600 for their building, for the use of the buildings. I mean, there are ways in which, we try to help nonprofits. We've given extensively to a number of events and nonprofits. So that's kind of my suggestion. I also agree that I would suggest that this section, the Parks and Rec fees, go back. Are we just talking about the facility fees?
Yeah, I'm just talking about the resident nonprofit fee. The rest of them have not been at issue, and so I would, if we proceed along with that exception, and then it would also include the other items which staff had recommended in terms of changes.
Now, we aren't proposing, I mean, I know it doesn't necessarily fall under Parks and Rec, but we aren't proposing any of things like the public rooms, the police department's public room. I mean, it's not in this report. We provide those things to nonprofits, to Girl Scout troops, Boy Scout troops, free of charge, and we're planning on continuing to do that, correct?
May I also add that this does not impact our senior programs? This does not.
So it doesn't,
No.
it doesn't affect the senior
Their
club, I was
meetings, their
gonna ask.
bingos, at Cibola, that area is set aside for them to use.
Well, if it did, I'm sure we'd have twice the crowd here.
I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
They're
That was
vocal
something that was going around also.
Yeah, okay, thank you. And as for, we do collect developer fees just to clarify, we do collect developer fees. For Parks and Rec facilities, and but it's not keeping up with the maintenance of our parks and facilities.
Well, and the fees too, that I think that were a pass on planning, those dealt with application processing primarily, correct?
That's correct. And
Which is a pretty small revenue source to begin with, considering.
that's correct. And it should be noted too that it's not just for developers, it's also for, citizens that make applications. So it's really an across-the-board thing to keep the status quo. So we're just not asking for an increase. And the reality is all development is not created equal. We do have struggles filling in infill lots because of rising costs, and that's why you see them tough to develop. So it's more complicated than just waiving fees for developers.
I guess I'm curious, why do you think, Armando, that, that we have these organizations that come in and use the facilities once, and then they don't use the facilities again? Are they using other facilities, or are they just holding one fundraiser a year and using our facility and then not, or?
I'm not sure. You might want to call one of them up and ask them that
I
question.
mean, I
think that would be up to you.
No, I mean, I'm just curious, because I don't understand why they're all, I know many of these organizations have multiple fundraisers, but they come and use our facility once, and, and I realize that even when the nonprofits, even when the volunteers clean the facility, to bring it up to par, to clean it the next time, whether it's bathrooms, and polishing the floors. Your staff still have to come in, and it's better when it's clean at least, and not trash left all through it. So they are spending less time, but they are still having to come in and bring it up to par for the next guest.
Correct. It's city staff, not my staff specifically. You can't expect these organizations to scrub a toilet to the point where it's ready to be rented for the next event. That a lot of them do a great job in cleaning it up, but it's just not, we have to spend, an hour, maybe two, just to fine tune it. And the rule of thumb has been is that if we spend over 2 hours having to do those fine-tuned cleanings, is that we'll charge them for that.
And I know we've talked before that, you and I have talked about the fact that, things like crab feeds and that we have to bring in extra dumpsters because of, and extra time is spent because of the odor that crab feeds cause to the facility.
Correct. And speaking to the maintenance supervisor, he indicates that there's more supplies used, like chemicals, to reduce the smell of the crab. We now have to bring in an extra dumpster to dump, which is up to $50. And I mean, there's a cost associated with these. The 400 people use a lot of toilet paper and hand towels, and so we're supplying all
Well,
that
if there's any
product for
plugged
free.
toilets during the event, our staff have to come out for that, or any catastrophes or. Okay.
Well, that goes back to Kurt's suggestion of looking at the type of usage.
Okay, any further questions?
I don't have any.
Any comments?
Well, I can't, I just have one here, just in case our audience hasn't read the actual fee schedule. But girls softball came up. I used to be a girls softball coach also. I'm just going to use the majors, 13, 14-year-olds. Lodi right now charges $135 for a resident. We charge $85.
Look at the Lodi facilities.
Well, I agree. That's probably why they're nicer than ours.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Investment in your community.
Yep,
Excuse
we
me.
could charge that much too, but anyhow. Our full recovery is actually $250. And we're proposing only to go up to $100, which still probably won't bring the facilities up to Lodi standards. But if people want to do that, we can certainly increase the fee to do that. Up to Lodi, we can match Lodi's.
You're looking at me like you want a response.
No, I'm sorry. But I'm just looking at our fee schedule, and to me, it doesn't sound like a big hit.
Well, if there are no more other comments, I'd entertain a motion to approve the report and fee schedule absent the nonprofit.
Littleton Sheboygan Community Center?
Right.
Including the reso changes and the
Yes.
fee changes.
So if I could restate, adopting the amended resolution, including the previously noted amendments, and removing the resident nonprofit fee to be brought back at a future meeting.
Correct.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Campion, second by Vice Mayor Cruz. Call for the vote.
Vice Mayor Cruz?
Aye.
Councilmember Molson?
Aye.
Councilmember Campion?
Aye.
Councilmember Lamson?
Aye.
Mayor Hewer?
Aye.
And I don't know if staff needs additional direction, but obviously the comments, which I think all of the council members made, I think should hopefully come back in some form of an analysis to consider that particular item at a future date. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's move on to item 4, City of Galt Comprehensive Annual Financial Report for fiscal year ended June 30th, 2017. Ms. Boyd?
Adjourn.
It's only 8 o'clock.
Catherine Yoon from the audit firm of Mays and Associates will be presenting this item as soon as she's had a chance to put her things down. Thank you. This is Catherine Yoon.
You gonna watch him?
Yeah.
That's his phone.
Sometimes he goes home with it.
That's a bomb.
So I just go like this. Oh, okay. Thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor and fellow council member. I'm Catherine Yuan. I'm the engagement partner for the fiscal year 2017 city's audit. All right, let's see if this works. Okay, a little bit of the background information. We are an independent CPA firm appointed by the council. The audit was conducted according to the auditing standard generally accepted in the United States, which means that that's the standard that all auditors use in this country. We came out to the city hall twice last year. We came here in July to test the internal controls of the city's operation. What that means is that we came out and then we obtained an understanding of how the city's functions and then determine if internal controls are in place. We don't just take what city staff tell us, we actually verify their statements. Then we came back in December 2017. At that time, management has already prepared the financial statements. So what we did was to verify the amounts that you see on the financial statements. The audit was completed in February of this year. Significant implementation of new accounting pronouncement. I really cleared the room already. I haven't even gotten to the good part yet. Okay, so this year, the city had to implement a governmental accounting standard board statement 74. What that means is that the city has provided other post-employment benefits to its current and offer the benefits to current employees and provide benefits for the retirees. The benefits are administered by in the trust. So what this statement requires is that the city has to report that trust on your financial statements, and thus there's also additional footnote disclosure on, I believe, note 11. Okay. The city's audit received an unmodified opinion, which is usually known as the clean opinion. What it means is that we believe that the numbers reported on the financial statements are materially correct. As part of the audit, we also recalculated the appropriation limit calculation performed by the city, and we found no exception. So just to point out, the city is a continuing recipient of the a CAFR award offered by the Government Finance Officers Associations, the GFOA, I think for, I don't know, maybe 20-some years, I want to say.
It's been a very long
for a
time,
very
probably
long
20, maybe even 25 or 30.
Okay, so what that means is that GFOA offers this award program for municipalities in order to encourage municipalities to go beyond the basic financial statement standard to have a report that is more user-friendly with more information for the reader. Every year, the city submit the CAFR for the award, and this was the latest award that was given by GFOA. So I'm going to go through a little bit of the financial information. Please keep in mind that there are two sets of financial statements that you see. One is for fund level, one's for entity-wide level. Fund level will be the ones that you're familiar with the general fund and each special revenue funds, etc. The purpose of those statements are to provide the readers the financial availability or the financial resources available in those funds in the short-term basis. Entity-wide level, that provides a more of a comprehensive financial position of the city. So it's like your consolidated financial statements in the corporate world. Some of the highlights for the entity-wide level, the net position, which is the equity amount, for the governmental activities amounted to $99.6 million. 80% of it was invested in capital assets. Restricted net position amounted to 22%, and the unrestricted was a negative 1%. And if you recall, in 2015, the city was required to implement GASB 68 to put the entire unfunded pension liability onto the city's entity-wide statements. So the net impact of that pension liability and related balances was a negative $12.2 million to the net position. And that's why the unrestricted portion of the net position became a negative number. And then you can see at the other columns are the business type activities. Okay, for the general fund, unrestricted fund balance was $10.1 million. I get a lot of questions usually about, well, how are we comparing to other cities? Where are we at? Currently, there's no requirement of how much fund balance in the general fund the city should maintain. However, the organization that I have just told you about, the GFOA, has a best practice paper that came out in 2015. What it says is that the unrestricted fund balance should be at least cover 2 months of the expenditure or revenue of that fund. So I usually use expenditure because they, you have a lot of contracts and labor union MOUs and stuff. So I did a calculation. The unrestricted fund balance currently can cover 9.2 months of the expenditure of that general fund. So you are in a pretty good position as of June 30th, 2017. In conjunction with the audit, we also issued this other report called the Memorandum on Internal Control and Required Communication. This is a report that we use to communicate any control deficiencies that we see during the audit. This year, we did not note any control deficiencies that we need to report to you on the report. And for the upcoming announcement for next year, there is going to be a GASB Statement 75 that will be requiring the city to book the entire unfunded other post-employment benefits liability onto the entity-wide statement. So it's very similar to the pension piece. So this is essentially the second piece of GASB 74. And so next year you will see that impact on the net position.
So what are post-employment, such as, outside of pensions, what are the other post-employment benefits that you'd be referring to?
So that, okay, sure. So you, usually that will be, I think for the city, that will be health care, the health insurance offered to retirees.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be the big one.
So this is the last year of our contract, so I would just like to thank Council for your continuing support and directions during the audit, and also city staff for all these years of your cooperation. We've always had a great experience here. My staff love your market, so they get really excited to go over there for lunch and never come back. And no, just kidding. They do come back, but they really get excited. They plan their lunches around it. We had a great time, and we're going to do our best to help with the transition. I just want to thank you for it. And at this time, if I can answer any questions, I will be happy to do so.
Any questions? Paige? Tom?
Having little experience with auditing being one, for ISO, not financial. To put it in my terms, you had no observations of any issues, or if they did, they were corrected before the audit was finished, and you had no findings. In other words, a clean audit.
Correct.
So I just kind of put it in layman's terms that you didn't find anything.
We did not find anything that we need to report to you. Okay.
Yeah.
We hope you found something.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Is there anything else?
We need an action
No,
on that?
this is a receive and file, council to do. There is no motion required.
Next item, proposed financing team for the Liberty Ranch Development Community Facilities District.
So, So, good evening again, Mayor Hewer and members of the council. This item is the next step in the Liberty Ranch Development Project. The infrastructure for Liberty Ranch, that is streets, water and sewer improvements and so on, can be financed through the issuance of bonds. To accomplish that, the staff has put together a financing team, and I just want to tell you who's on that team. We have Bond Counsel, which is Kim Byrons of BBK. BBK has been in business for more than 125 years and has a public finance department for over 45 years. They're a full-service law firm with specialists in local government law throughout the state of California. Our city attorney, Kimberly Hood, is from BBK, and we have engaged with Iris Yang in our RDA dissolution process, so we're very familiar with BBK and their skills. Ms. Byrons is a BBK partner and has been with the Public Finance Department for 28 years, specializing in community facility districts. Staff is proposing an addendum to the existing agreement with BBK to cover the Bond Counsel and Disclosure Counsel work. Municipal advisors are Eric Scriven and Craig Hill from NHA Advisors. Drawing on more than 100 years of combined experience, NHA Advisors provides a comprehensive set of financial advisory skills in California public finance. NHA Advisors is one of the most active and consistently ranked municipal advisory firms in California. Mr. Scriven has provided financial advisory services to public agencies since 1990 and has managed more than 100 successful financings during the last 10 years. Mr. Hill has been a financial advisor since 1989 to many cities, large and small, working on unique and complicated financing projects, as well as traditional infrastructure projects. And the city is proposing, or the staff is proposing that the city contract with NHA Advisors. The underwriter is going to be, we're proposing Ralph Holmes and Dennis McGuire from Piper Jaffray and Company. Piper Jaffray has been in the business for more than 123 years and is a leading investment bank. Their public finance group provides underwriting services to facilitate the issuance of taxable and tax-exempt debt nationally. Mr. Holmes, who will be leading this transaction on behalf of Piper Jaffray, has 20 years of experience working with California cities on similar transactions. Ralph has been working with the city of Galt since 2001. He's done other work for us. Additional team participants yet to be hired are a special tax consultant, an appraiser and a fiscal agent. While I will run point for the city, Eric Scriven will serve as the project manager. Other city staff working on this project will include Chris Arias, the Community Development Director, Stephen Winkler, the Public Works Director, and of course, Gene Palazzo, the city manager. I'm going to ask Mr. Scriven to present a PowerPoint explaining community facility districts for infrastructure financing. Following his presentation, staff requests council to adopt the resolution approving the formation of the finance team and authorizing the city manager to execute agreements with BBK and NHA. You should note that the costs for these services will be paid from the proceeds of any bond that is issued and or paid by the developer. This is not going to be a city expense. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Eric Scriven from NHA.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. It's great to be here. We purposefully named this briefing. It's not a full deep dive into CFDs, and in fact, we're going to talk a little bit about formation as well as the financing. A lot of the work that we're going to be doing over the next months is going to be sort of laying the groundwork for the formation of the district, and then the bonds are sold at the end of the process. Let's see, this one. So we've got an outline. I think I was going to try, we had a 40, 50-page PowerPoint. We've cut it down to 19 pages. I'm going to really try to go through and see how, if I have any blank stares, and I'm going to step back, but we're going to try to answer, I think Emily answered who is the team. She'll be really the point of contact and making sure that we're adhering to the city's goals and moving forward. So I don't know that we need to really get into the consultant roles that much. Really want to just sort of get into the nuts and bolts, the what and the why and the how of forming, and then forming the district and selling the bonds. We always, NHA, we like to be extremely clear on what the objectives are as we set out on the process. We're always trying to make sure that we're in sync with our client. These are fairly standard objectives. We're trying to make sure the private development pays its own way, make sure that you get a quality development out of the process, and we want to make sure that it's a conservative, prudent approach, and that the process is transparent. That's really sort of the highlights on the objectives. I think you're pretty clear on the staff role. Emily and Jean and Chris and others are going to be making sure that we're adhering to the timeline and getting things done with the objectives of the city and the community in mind. Okay, we'll get to a couple of those points. Yeah, I mean, you're hiring consultants for the reason you usually hire consultants. There's some special expertise that's being brought to bear on this project. I think everyone that she mentioned in her intro is on there. We've got a special tax consultant wasn't identified. We have a sense for who that's going to be. That firm, that's a very important role. They really sort of create the methodology for the allocation, which is called the rate and method of apportionment. That is a very important task, and that's another member of the team that will be important. You'll see that contract come before you. So really there's two options. The developer can fund with cash or equity or outside loans the infrastructure and facilities that are required per the development agreement and their improvement plans, or they can do a what we call a land secured financing, in this instance a CFD. There is assessment districts as well, but CFDs are more flexible. So there's a benefit to the developer, of course. As we noted up front, they have less cash up front, and the benefit to the city in return is they want to make sure improvements are installed in a timely way, in a high-quality way, and overall for providing this CFD mechanism to the developer that, generally speaking, enhances their pro forma and their returns on their investment. The city wants to gain good benefit from that in the form of a high-quality project. So there's less cash. So what happens is the developer, but eventually the homeowners in this instance, they're going to repay for that bond issue, that money that went into improvements in infrastructure through a special tax that's annually levied over the term of the bonds. Simply put, it's saying the same thing again. The what is, it's a way to pay for these improvements now versus in an early part of the development process versus waiting for impact fees, if you will, to accumulate over time. I mean, that's really the primary reason the developer likes it. Again, it enhances their pro forma. The CFD provides for repayment by the property owners, as I said, the homeowners eventually. And it permits tax-exempt financing, a lower-cost financing for the eligible public improvements that will be installed. And there is, over the last 35 years, there's a ready market for these bonds. So there's good interest rates. A couple of notable advantages and disadvantages that I'd call out for the city. They're with oversight. There should be and there will be equitable allocation of that special tax payment over into the future. For the developer, it's a great it's off-balance sheet, non-recourse financing. The developer is not on the hook personally with the lien. The special tax lien goes to the property. It's a land-secured financing. The disadvantages, well, and then the other advantage is, I mean, the city in no way, and we should emphasize that several times during this discussion, the city is not financially obligated. However, we want to make sure that we put up as a disadvantage, the city's name is on the official statement when the bonds are sold. It's not financially liable, but the city makes covenants that it will foreclose on property owners if they don't pay their special taxes. So there is that covenant that they're supposed to do that. The city will do that. And since the name is on the official statement, there is what we call a moral obligation to, make sure that the deal is put out to the market in a good way. I think we've stated these before as far as the higher amenity project. We want to control it. It'll come up several times because there's competing needs for this special tax. There's citywide services that you want to pay in this special tax level that's going to be imposed or created above the 1% ad valorem. There's city services, there's schools, there's the fire district, and then there's this facilities. We will call this the facilities CFD district that we're talking about now, the Liberty Ranch Facilities CFD. So it's important to manage how much tax lien in aggregate, all those things will be put on those future homeowners because you don't want that to be an excessive burden on those future residents. Well, this is, I think, important. If you want me to speed up, I'll do it. But the rate and method of apportionment, it could be apportioned on any reasonable basis, usually land use. In this instance, it's going to be predominantly residential. I don't know if there's much commercial there or not. The special tax is levied on the county property tax roll. The special tax is designed so that it's all-encompassing. All the admin charges for administering that special tax is bundled into that special tax rate that's put on the roll. And the city has, again, no liability whatsoever for the CFD bond payments. The CFD budget will be determined annually by the special tax consultant, which will be levied. The maximum special tax is established in the RMA at the very beginning of the process, the resolution of intention part of the formation process. And it cannot be, once it's set, it cannot be exceeded. It can be used for paying debt service, fund infrastructure on a pay-as-you-go basis, and it can also be used for ongoing maintenance of and services for the area. The taxable property is the primary source of security, and payment of special taxes is the sole obligation of the owners of the taxable property in the CFD. And again, the delinquent properties are subject to foreclosure. This is all part of the calculation by the special tax consultant when you create differences in various land uses and how you allocate the special tax and the rate and method of apportionment. Land use, residential versus commercial, density, size of the dwelling units, those are all things that are considered to try to make an equitable special tax allocation. I think the last point is very important to note. The tax must be levied on a reasonable basis as determined by City Council. This is different than an assessment district where you have an engineer that really goes through and does a real precise calculation. The CFD is, there's more flexibility in designing that equitable special tax allocation. All of them are unique. Every development is different, and you cannot. This was in response to Prop 13 back in '78. 1982 was when the CFD law was put into place, so it can't be based on assessed value of the property. So they try to mimic it with the size of the dwelling unit or other ways to try to capture an equitable allocation for the properties in that special tax method. There's several steps to the formation process. You'll be seeing those over the next months. The initial phase that we're about to embark upon is really very important to lay the foundation, the discussions, the review of the development agreement, make sure that we're clear on the improvements that are going to be installed, how much tax rate's going to be used. Those preliminary steps are very important. Then once you get into the process, it becomes really sort of notice periods. You have to have 30 days between the resolution of intention and the public hearing. And then if you have unanimous consent of the landowners, I think there's only one landowner here, so you probably get that, or maybe a limited number. You can have your vote on that second meeting, the public hearing meeting, so that you actually have the vote to approve the CFD at that public hearing. And you can approve your resolution of formation that night. And I'm going to give you a sample schedule just so you understand. The requirement is a 2/3 vote requirement. So if you have one vote or 3 votes, you need to have 2 out of those 3 vote in favor. Again, it is by acreage. If it's under 12 registered voters, which I believe it is under 12 registered voters out on the property. Security, we've gone over that before. It's paid from the special taxes. City's not obligated to pay debt service. This is a sample schedule. I just wanted to throw it in. It's obviously very aggressive, but it gives you an idea the length of time, even on an expedited process. If, by chance, everything was well understood and there was a meeting of the minds on installation improvements, how they would be, the developer, once they install the improvements, how those reimbursements would occur from bond proceeds, if all that was nailed down early on and you could go to and you had your allocation through the rate and method of apportionment in hand, and you were ready to go to a resolution of intent meeting on the council's meeting of April 17th. If you were to go and do, we call that the ROI meeting, you'd have your public hearing scheduled for June 5th, which would be between 30 and 60 days after the resolution of intent meeting. And if that went well and you had a vote of the landowner that evening, you would be able to approve financing documents in May. That May 15th was a target date, and you'd be ready to sell bonds. Well, you'd release your preliminary official statement on the June 19th, and you could sell bonds in early July and close late July. That's from this moment if everything was really compressed. So it's a lengthy process. I think there's a fair amount of work to be done before we're going to get to that resolution of intent meeting. I have no estimate when that might be until we really get into it. But I wouldn't think that we're going to have bonds sold until fall. I could be wrong, though. If I get something, someone tells me differently. We like to put this in, the annual maintenance and additional service costs. That should be on here. It's always present in our mind. There is a city contract with Wildan, I believe, for a citywide CFD, and that'll be a consideration. Like I said, there's a lot of parts to fulfill with that special tax that's going to be there on these properties. So we want to make sure that the city is not left holding the bag on maintenance and services for the new development that's going to occur. So we make sure that we keep this slide in here just so that we're all keeping track of that. Next steps, I think there's 1 or 2 more consultants, the special tax consultant and the appraiser at some point. and we'll roll up our sleeves and sort of really zero in on the timeline and the tasks, and make sure that we move forward with discussions with the developer and what their wants and needs are as well. And then we'll commence diligence and numerical analysis and get going. That's it. I went way over 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Sorry about that.
So, thank you.
Okay.
Any questions?
Yeah, maybe for staff. This is just on the capital facilities portion, correct? This doesn't deal with the public service facilities requirements that are called out for in that development agreement? Are we dealing with just one CFD?
I think the plan was to deal with one CFD, but two components of it.
Okay.
One basically to bond and build infrastructure, and then another for a combined public safety and maintenance issues. So we were looking at that type of setup for Eastview. Now, we are somewhat limited on public safety, I think, by language in the development agreement with Eastview. We were limited to what they're already receiving in 2005, because I believe the way they were conditioned was either to join existing CFDs and LLDs or join some new
Right.
LLD CFD that the city creates.
But this is also going to cover like the lighting landscape district, everything to do with storm drainage, all of that.
Correct. That is the goal, is to create like this super CFD to really eliminate the need for LLDs and everything else. So to fold that all into one. Then the other thing we're looking at is for all new development going forward is having then another CFD. So I guess we would have two CFDs moving forward, a citywide CFD for all new development, and then one particular to Eastview. And the idea that we didn't want to have Eastview in the citywide is that, they did have a development agreement, again, that kind of limited what we can ask for.
Right.
So we didn't want to push that out to citywide development.
My concern would be by doing it, grouping it within one CFD and including all the other facilities and improvements and ongoing M&O operations, that it would, could potentially, you could hit a cap where it becomes difficult based on the annual cost to qualify owners, and the developer then argues back that that tax is too high or the maximum tax is too high. So I'm thinking, well, yeah, on that particular issue, but if there were multiples, like there are with the schools, it may be to the city's advantage to identify just a CFD for capital facilities. Obviously, staff will have to look into that. But the other question I had was, what is typical, and I don't know who to answer this, what is typical for funded interest from the time the bonds are sold? Because obviously, unless they're going to borrow from a bank, they're going to want bond proceeds to go out there and start moving dirt. And I just would like to know what is typical.
The developer is going to want as much as possible. 2 years, 2 years of pre-funded interest. 3, Ralph? 2. Yeah.
No, I think 3 years is way too much, because all that does is build on the back end of the resident that buys it. If they're going to get out and build, I think they need to get out and build. And I think the city should be prudent in terms of the funded interest. We had a lot of complaints when we did Northeast area. Most people don't remember that because they weren't.
Oh, I remember it.
But it was big. So I think staff hope they're.
That's the direction we're looking for.
It was huge. I'm more like huge than big.
So those are a couple of concerns, or not concerns, but at least points I would like to make before staff gets into this. The other thing, I guess, is this just major infrastructure, or because that was my understanding, these are just the major infrastructure within the subdivision, the subdivider, or that will be his responsibility? Because I think I'd like to know what facilities are we funding versus what is developer responsibility through his own financing.
It's my understanding it is the backbone infrastructure, not the individual subdivision, because the major developer is not the home builder. So goal of the developer is to put, again, the backbone in, and then he has these segments that they plan to sell off to home builders that would then be responsible for pulling in utilities for each segment of their specific development.
Okay. That's all the questions I have. Good to see you again, Ralph.
So, part of when we had the discussion about the Eastview and the CFD had to do a lot with the funding of the school. That the city and the developer went into an agreement that the school would pay for itself, that we weren't going to then go back and now have to ask taxpayers and citizens, existing citizens, to help pay for another school. And that's still...
That's my understanding, is that the developer has come to an agreement with the elementary school district for that. There's a site set out for eventual construction, and it's my understanding that the future homeowners will not be required to pay for that future construction.
So one of the things is, so in the CFD, just to clarify that I understand this, so many of the projects will be paid off in 30 years, but the CFD will continue for all the maintenance of the parks. And
That's correct. So the idea is where you have this one CFD for Liberty Ranch Eastview, not talking about the citywide, but this one that has two components. You're right, the bond infrastructure CFD, when it's paid off, will go away, but the maintenance CFD will continue in perpetuity to ensure the long-term maintenance of that site.
So when it comes back to us, can we make sure that that's broken out so we can tell what would continue and what would
Absolutely.
be paid off in 20, 30 years or whatever the amount of time is, so that we can actually see the breakdown?
Okay.
Thank you. Okay,
Will
that's
there
all my
be
questions. Tom?
CPI associated to that, or is it going to get stuck like we do with the landscape and lighting districts we have now?
I'm assuming there's one. I'm not the expert on how they go forward, but I would assume there is a cost of living adjustment. Yes.
Okay, yeah, because we've learned our lessons with the old LLCs.
Well,
Finally,
but that could be defined in the development agreement. So I think that's where we really need to look. I mean, obviously it makes sense to do it, but I think we need to look and see if there are limitations that have been imposed or agreed upon.
Correct.
Community facilities districts are relieved of some of the onerous provisions for annual engineers' reports and restrictions on multi-year CPI-type adjustments. So some of the voter requirements for future increases, these are much better suited for the longevity of providing services than sort of the after-the-fact Prop 218 requirements that were imposed on existing districts. So we're strongly recommending that this type of funding be used rather than a continuation of existing landscape and lighting district methodology.
The one thing I'd like to add as well is that the the fire district is looking to create their own safety CFD. So even if we were not to create our own CFD to cover public services and maintenance, CSD is looking to do that and have been conditioning new development to go forward with that. So this new CFD would not only take care of maintenance, but then also our public safety component, which primarily police services. So they would all be folded into that one district.
And just for clarity for everyone, this isn't, the city's not paying for the formation of the CFD, it's being paid for from the bond revenues and the developer.
Correct.
Correct?
correct.
Is there a deposit that's taken from the developer to initiate this at this point?
It's coming.
Okay.
We've been in discussion with them, and they are in agreement of what needs to happen, especially.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
A second.
Moved by Vice Mayor Cruz, second by Councilmember Mulson. Call for the vote.
Vice Mayor Cruz?
Aye.
Councilmember Molson?
Aye.
Councilmember Campion?
Aye.
Councilmember Lamson?
Aye.
Mayor Hewer?
Aye. Passes on a 5-0 vote. City Clerk's report, subject, community benefit funding grant policy, applicant qualifications.
Great. This was brought about back on April 18, 2017. The mayor at the time asked to have the community benefit funding grant policy brought back to City Council for further review. Currently, the community benefit funding grant policy allows only 501c3 organizations to apply. Back in the April 2017 meeting, the special event sponsorship policy allowed all 29 types of 501c organizations to apply. After further research, 5 resolutions addressing nonprofit organizations and policies, use of facilities and issuing fireworks permits were located. They are as follows: community center rental fee schedule, fireworks permit eligibility, the community event sign policy, the community benefit funding grant policy, and the special event sponsorship policy. Attached to this agenda report is an exact list of the 501c organizations and their corresponding descriptions. Staff recommends City Council discuss the definitions and other requirements detailed in each resolution and give direction to staff if so desired.
This is dealing just with the community grant issue, correct? Wow. I've looked over all of the various 29. I don't know how it ever got expanded to the 29, but I think it needs to remain at the C3. That's kind of my feeling. I don't know what the rest of the council thinks.
Good question. Let's, Armando, I got a question. Of the 15 nonprofits that used our facilities this past year, how many of them were just 15 501c3s?
I would have to go back and check.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you not all of them were.
Okay. See, and that's my question, you know, how many of them actually were, and what other categories they fall in? I mean, we want to limit it to just the 501c3s, or is there another one in here that
Well, it's
we don't know?
501c4. It was interesting because the reason this came to
Yeah.
us is because our community garden, which is under the
Character Coalition.
Community Character Coalition, was given the designation as 501c4. So they were exempt from being able to apply for any community grant money. It's because the 501c4 has civic leagues, social welfare organizations, local associations of employees, but,
Mayor,
It's
here-
interesting
to see the things that are under each one of these categories.
It is. Shouldn't we have, city attorney, shouldn't we look for consistency?
I was just going to note that in some communities I've worked with, when they've grappled with what types of 501cs to include, most often I've seen 501c3s, 501c4s, and 501c7s.
Social and recreational clubs.
With the distinction that they look for nonprofits that are groups that serve other public groups or public community events instead of those that serve business entities or other, business-oriented groups.
Yeah, because it's actually interesting, because the Chamber of Commerce is a 501c6, and, we've waived a number of fees for the Chamber of Commerce over the years, but.
But this deals just with the grant.
The community grant.
Community grant policy. So I think maybe we need to.
But remember, we've had limited applicants. Last year, I believe did we give the money to 1 or 2?
2.
2.
I think it was 2.
And the year before, I think there were 3 applicants also.
Last year's grant went to the Historical Society, all 10,000.
They got all 10?
They did?
Because I know there was a church that asked for some, and then real life?
No, it was granted all to the Historical Society last
And
year.
then the year before, 3 applicants. So I don't want to limit ourselves if somebody, like one of these other groups, like the Welfare League or something like that, wants to apply. Like L'Haim, aren't they? What's L'Haim?
L'Haim is a 501c3.
Year 3? Okay.
So Donna, you put on here about the fireworks permit eligibility in your report. Now, it is limited to C3s?
Correct.
Huh. I don't think we've always held anybody to that, have we?
No,
Do we check?
We do.
That's another question. Is there a requirement to check?
When it comes to the fireworks applications, we have them submit, it says here, the current entity status for showing your agency's in good standing from the Franchise Tax Board. So it's a free form they can get online, and they submit that with their application to have a fireworks booth if they're next in line.
And it shows your designation?
Yes, it does.
That signs.
So can we do, what if we don't want to allow all, can we allow what Kimberly was recommending, or what other cities do?
Recreation clubs.
Well, we already have a track record of the nonprofits and who applies, right?
That's why I was trying to move it over
We
to
pretty
the
much have a track
fee waiver.
record. And we could match the track record up to all these different 501c organizations. I bet it's only going to come down to about 2 or 3. You know, and then we ought to limit it to that. If that's our track record, we have a history, it's what it is. You know, that would kind of eliminate the 501c13s. That's cemetery companies, by the way, for our audience.
Well,
And the 15s, that's mutual insurance companies.
The community benefit funding grant applications go out next month, so nothing has been issued currently, so tonight would be a good night to, this or March 20th before we move forward with letting the applications go out.
Well, I think when I look at this, and then you look at this community center rental fee schedule, and we just define it as a resident nonprofit, do we ask for, so we don't define in that one that it has to be a 501c3?
No.
No, so it could just be any nonprofit, or if they just designate their nonprofit?
We have a definition that they have to be within the city, hold their meetings within the city limits, be established for over a year, and be a local nonprofit.
I mean, when I look at this, it looks to me like we need to, as a policy, have a better definition of what a nonprofit is. Because it looks like for each one of these, we have a different definition.
Yeah,
And it would be better for
29 of them.
purposes. And I, I would be inclined to agree to add the 501c4s, because I think that civic organizations and social welfare organizations, are as vital to our community as religious, educational, and all the ones listed under C3.
We'd have to include 7
Yeah,
also, I think.
C7s.
And how about the 6th, the chamber of commerce?
Again, we're dealing just with the,
And it's at our
Just with the
discretion
grant.
anyway.
Yeah, we're just dealing with the grant.
Yeah.
I don't know what the chamber's status is, what theirs is, but I think that we need to come, except she said, the community grant's going out. I would like to see in the future that we come back with a better definition of what a nonprofit is, so that we're a little clearer across, that we at least are a little clearer across the board. I mean, because that was one of the issues that was brought up last year, is that, they could apply under one area, the community garden could apply under one area, but they couldn't apply under another. They could have a fireworks booth, but they couldn't.
Yeah, I'm all for simplicity and clarity in this.
So shall we go for the 3, the 4, the 7, and the 6?
well,
So you're going to need to bring it back to us, right?
She wanted us to make a decision tonight, didn't she?
yeah.
Well, just give her direction on what to bring back to us.
Well, for purposes of the grant funding, I don't think that C6 necessarily needs to be included. I mean, I don't know the chamber's ever made.
I would agree, yeah.
For other purposes, if we're talking about rental facilities, then we look at, maybe we have a different issue there. But for this purpose, I don't think 6 really needs to be there. Not sure what's What's an example of social and recreational clubs?
Boy Scouts,
That is a club?
Girl Scouts, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they definitely should be in there.
Soccer teams.
Okay. And civic?
So
civic
3, 4, and
leagues?
7?
What's civic and social welfare, what's an example of those organizations?
347?
No, for C4.
Well, it had to do with the Galt Coalition of Character. It ended up with a C4. It's what they're assigned by the IRS. And so I guess I guess they must be under a civic,
Social welfare organization? The Justice League or something?
What was it? It was the.
Galt Coalition of Character.
Community care.
They have the community garden.
Oh, they have the community garden. Yeah, but that wasn't their main purpose. Their main purpose was something else, wasn't it, initially?
On our
Wasn't it- wasn't it
characters.
to-
Coalition.
Yeah, the
Right.
Character Coalition. So,
For some reason now they've.
They wanted to apply for a grant that required an organization to be either a 501c3 or C4, and Character Coalition stepped forward.
oh.
And I don't know what other social welfare organizations, but
We'll also take into consideration, since we've sent the funding portion of the Parks and Rec back to staff, it may be a moot point if they choose to use the community grant money as a buffer.
As a fee waiver buffer. But can we give Kimberly direction then for the 1, the 3, the 4, and the 7?
Yeah.
Can we?
I think you can, so just to clarify, it's on the agenda for discuss and review and provide directions. So that, if you would like to provide that direction this evening, and then when we bring it back March 20th, we can provide specific examples of the types of groups. So, I think we've understood that you're interested in those that are providing, obviously public benefits, so we can provide a closer look and bring back more specific examples of the types of groups that would fall within these specific areas.
yeah, and the special event sponsorship policy, we just say a 501c, so it could be any of those. And I think it needs to be defined.
Yes.
I mean, so we really need to look at what we define a nonprofit as, or a, or a local organization, because any 501c, and when you look at that list, it's all sorts, it's all over the place.
So are you saying you want us to bring back one policy for all?
I don't know that that's going to work.
Yeah,
On the special events sponsorship policy, I think that,
It says only allowed 1.
well, no, that's all 29.
And then read the community benefit funding grant policy allows 1 type to apply for grant funding.
what?
But we're-
The last sentence.
He was referring to the sponsorship.
I'm looking at this portion of it.
Okay.
It says here under 50C3, or C, there are 29 types, which is all 29 of these. So that's what I'm saying, under the special events, that needs to be tightened up.
Kim, could it come back as an ordinance for us to define by policy what a nonprofit is for, or, what we feel a nonprofit is, just in general, so that we define it? And then for things like the community grant, I mean, we're going to,
I think we could, if my understanding is correct from the city clerk, we have a limited amount of time for the community benefit grants, so we would certainly want to bring back a specific definition that for your consideration and action on March 20th, so that they could proceed with the application process. Otherwise, you'll be delayed and be limited to the 501c3s for the next application cycle. But we could also then bring back potentially a review then of all of these different provisions. Some of them are in, I think they're mostly in resolutions, so it would be an easier a revision, but we could review all of them then, because there are different scenarios for, obviously, rental fees and the exemption for the Littleton rental fee waiver versus the community benefit grant. So I would suggest that we bring back the community benefit grant, at least for the the upcoming application cycle, and also then bring back definitions and whether, if that might provide some direction also on what you want to look at for tightening up some of these other definitions of a nonprofit.
Because it may be one size doesn't fit all.
Right, it may be, but that will at least,
Yeah.
I think what we do for the community benefit grant will at least provide you some idea of what types are for more the public benefit, and whether you want to, keep that or expand it for the rental fees as you already have.
Yeah, because well, do we have a motion or do we have direction? I mean, I would agree with 3, 4, and 7 need to be, it needs to be opened up to 3, 4, and 7.
I would agree with that.
Does anyone disagree with that?
No.
No?
So, and
Go
this is
forth and
just for
conquer.
the grant funding policy, then we'll address these other issues
At a later date?
at a later, yeah, and maybe staff can
Yeah.
come back with some recommendations on how they believe it should be approached.
Because I understand now why they came before us last year to say that there was, why she couldn't apply for one and she could apply for another. And it's because we've got
Yeah.
different criteria.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Is that all you need?
I just need a direction. Consensus, correct?
Does staff have direction?
North.
Comments by staff? Mr. Winkler?
Just one item, I was given this afternoon, updates on water conservation numbers for the month of February, which has been exceptionally dry. We got a little relief here early in March, but February was not kind for our water pack in the California mountains above us. As a result, we're seeing that in water cons, people have turned their sprinklers on, trying to keep their landscaping alive, and we're down to 13% over the 2 comparator years of 2013 and 14. That is still a significant reduction from historic use, but we're hopeful that as we get into warmer weather, we can get back to the 20 and 30% type conservation numbers we were seeing over the previous 2 years.
Thank you. Chris?
Just real quick, we did receive the building permit application for the Trail Ridge apartment expansion, so that's kind of exciting. And if you noticed, the house where it's going to sit is gone. So we've got a vacant lot where that house once sit. And that's all I have.
Molly?
Nothing further, thank you.
Cora? Armando?
No, I think I caused enough trouble for today.
Never.
Yes, you did.
You can always recommend. Todd?
We have a Coffee with a Cop event on March 14th at 8:30 at It's a Grind. We've had amazing turnouts at both of our Coffee with the Cops, and we're trying to move it around to different locations within the city. So the next one will be at It's a Grind on the 14th, 8:30 in the morning.
Gene?
The 14th is going to be an exciting day, coffee with the cop, and then we'll have lunch at Brewster's and listen to the State of the City address, which I will be presenting. We're in partnership with the Chamber of Commerce and SMUD to bring that to the community. We're also bringing in a keynote presentation, John Mitchell, who's an economist, to talk about the economy, national, nation, state, and local economies for our community. So I hope to see everybody there.
So I know we can't have our keynote speaker, but there have been some concerns raised in the community about, not wanting to buy a ticket to lunch, but they wanted to hear the State of the Union address. So I know you and I discussed that, so.
That'll be agendized for March 20th meeting, and we'll present that here at the council meeting so the rest of the community can see that as well.
So that'll be televised and it'll be archived, and so anybody who wants to see it can see it.
Yep.
Correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Kim?
I have nothing further. Thank you.
Okay. Comments by council members? Kurt?
Nothing.
Paige?
I think I'm done.
Tom?
Oh, nothing. I was on the council 10 years ago and we kicked the bucket down the road. But
So it's you that didn't take care of this
Well,
maintenance?
at the time, we had just dedicated the police station. We were starting to build the C Street overpass. Chabois was brand new. Winkle was brand new. So it was the next council that should have done the maintenance.
Okay. So we'll look back to the people that were here 10 years ago, when it started getting old?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have nothing.
Thank you very much. Closed meeting. Meeting adjourned.